it's gonna be hard to do.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because what happens is
talk show. We're here Saturday morning. I missed most of the week. I apologize to you core Murkies, man. You've really been here with me through the holidays, and it means a lot to me. So I thought maybe I'd see if any of you were available, and we'd hang out this Saturday morning, have some coffee together, maybe catch up on the news from the week, have some more interesting soul-igniting conversation. So let's do that. Let's kick over to the intro, baby. Shoot an ad break for BARKBOX? Yeah, say no more, I can do that. Check this out. BARKBOX is a monthly subscription service providing dog products, services, and experiences. Bark services over 1 million dogs monthly through BARKBOX and Super Chewer subscriptions and retail distribution. Check out BARKBOX now. Exclusive link in description below. Yeah, no, I think I nailed it. I also got to do one for Atlas VPN. Okay, I can do an ad break for Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN is a VPN. If you're searching the web without a VPN, you're not doing it anonymously. Exclusive link in the description below. Get a VPN. It's on us this month. What's up, guys? We're back. Oh my goodness, let's pop this Discord open. What's crack-a-lackin', Justin? Hello. Oh man, surprise Saturday morning stream. I've been gone all week. It's been nutty. I've I've been ill as hell. I got a swollen eye this morning, which one is it? It's one of these eyes. Is swollen as hell, as opposed to one of the other eyes.
That's never fun.
Oh, dude, it's the worst. I think it's a sty.
Been there.
Yeah, dude, it's the worst too. And so I wake up. I thought I had a whole bunch of like gunky gunk in my eye or something. I think I popped off a sty, dude. I had the juicy eye this morning, the plump eye. It was hella gross, but I feel so much better in every other regard. My voice feels like it's somewhat back. Probably go in and out intermittently, but that's just kind of the nature of my autoimmune disease for the most part. And it's
I didn't know it affected your voice.
It can affect a little bit of so I have these intermittent flu symptoms, and one of those flu-like symptoms is it kind of wreaks havoc on my sinuses, and it that causes a lot of drainage and stuff, which wreaks havoc on my vocal cords. So I'll sound hoarse and stuff like that. And then if anybody's ever met any of the male members of my family, anybody with my actual last name, if you know me in person, you've probably noticed the older males are A, few in number, B, their throat sounds bad. Their throat sounds really, really bad. I
just always figured that was the cigarettes.
That's what I always assumed too. You know, my father had throat polyps, and I think it turned out to be unrelated to smoking, but that's what I always assumed. You know, you see somebody smoking Marlboro Reds your whole life, you just kind of think, all right, well, that's where the voice thing comes from. But apparently it's one of the many things that come with this funky disease, this genetic disorder. My voice will probably, when I'm older, sound fucking horrible, but that's all right. My grandfather had almost this high-pitched tone to his voice, but it was still raspy. It's hard to emulate. But he also had throat issues. Then I had my great-grandfather had cancer in his sinuses, and they actually had to hollow out from his eye socket to the roof of his mouth. He had an eye patch and stuff. So...
ouch.
Yeah, part of me really does, like, I prioritize and worry about, like, my sinuses, my voice, stuff like that. I take it really easy on them nowadays. I take, my allergy medication like I should. I really, you guys will hear me sneeze and cough and wheeze a lot.
Thanks
and stuff
for
like
reminding me.
Right, yeah, take that allergy pill, everybody. It's worth it. It's got to be cold as hell everywhere. It's cold in the desert, so it's got to be cold everywhere else in the United States right now, right?
It's only 45 here, but yesterday it was nearly 60.
Oh, that's beautiful for fucking December. Wild. So it has been warm in Arkansas. Man, here in Arizona, man, it's been...
Yeah, it's been like scary warm, to be honest.
It's crazy, man. We'll have the occasional nice day, but we had some really weird rain show up in the desert. But dude, it felt like the moment I hopped off the plane, like this monsoon season apparently was hella heavy, and the moment I touched down off the plane, monsoon season started. And now the desert is more green than it has ever been since the advent of satellite imaging. It's just,
You brought the green with you.
Yeah. Right? Hey, what up, JC on Twitch? I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing, bud? I've really been excited to try to hop back to I built this channel, it felt like, on the 7 a.m. schedule. And
it's nice. It's a nice way to start the morning, that's for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Jay on YouTube says it's been warm in North Carolina, 70s. Nice. Really? See, that's a little warmer than I've actually had here, in the shade here in the desert right now. In the morning, it might be 50 degrees. It might be 40, 48. You might have, which for most people, like when I was in Arkansas, 45 degrees, like Justin is saying, in the winter, boy, that's a good day. That feels really nice. Here, where I am now, hella spoiled to 107 degree breezes floating through palm trees. Like I am now, 45 degrees hits and I'm mad. I do not like it. I've become like hella spoiled to the desert. Like I love it. I love it. But I do have dreams about the winter there this year. I will say that. The snow we had last year, the hella traumatic year I had last year. JC the King says, I'm good, a bit jet lagged, but good. Oh, JC's traveling, it appears. Man. Also, sorry that was a bit delayed. Lol. My dog started going crazy. Hey, no worries, JC on Twitch. No worries. Jet lagged, you're traveling, huh? I've never really experienced hella jet lag. I normally do my traveling on the ground. I flew to Tucson when I moved here, but you know. Oh my goodness, Justin. But yeah, Justin, back to like the schedule change. I built this channel on a 7 a.m. to kind of noon time frame, and plays have dipped off for the holidays, and I've tried different formats. I've tried changing things that's best for me, but I really think what might work best is if I do the morning show, then I have all afternoon and evening to edit and release edited content. And I think this is the only schedule. Yeah. See, this is like tonight, we're probably going to be releasing a whole new series on the channel. And I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think, and keep the talk show going without maybe starting the talk show hella early, which again is what we built the core audience on. It's how we started. It's how I started, the live streams.
Maybe we can get some Zimmy action back up in here.
Exactly. I actually talked to Zimmy sent me some beautiful artwork that he made for his new album. He's about to be releasing promotions for his new album. The artwork is done by him. He painted multiple variations for the covers of this record, I believe. And dude, let me tell you, it's beautiful. He's working on some beautiful art. There's times where I feel like we're really, dude, isn't it crazy? I don't know. I know that you and I both feel endeared to Zimmy as artist for sure. Like his kind of philosophy and outlook on art, I know it's really close to how I am, and I would imagine it's probably really close to where you are with it, where it's like, you really put your heart into it,
Oh yeah. I don't write a song unless it's a song I wanted to hear in the first place.
Exactly. Something you also enjoy listening to. And he knows his value, and he really does put a lot into his musical projects, and man, I'm hella excited about it. He said that he should have some time for the stream hopefully soon. I normally get a photo of him at a DJ gig where he's DJing at like something fancy. Nice. Like he's in a suit and there's a whole bunch of fine dining behind him.
I've got a new piece I can show you. Let me pop the screen on real quick.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, beautiful. Oh, you're getting really solid with this sickle vibe. Your twists are getting really good.
Thank you. This was my first successful one in copper, and someone wanted to buy it before I could even post it.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. I think you found a lane there, dude. Copper, that's pretty easy to, dude, you did really beautiful work there. That's actually a really solid, again, like the twist at the end. I've watched your style, you know what I mean? And I'm
a big fan of twisting things. That's like probably one of my most favorite parts.
It's one of my favorite things to do too, with the like kind of limited forging experience I have, right? So, but you're getting really good with it. That's gonna be your, dude. You'll probably, I think. Oh, imagine if you get like in the future like some forge work that's like a custom piece for a gate where it's just like twists and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you might end up with some really cool gigs with how you're flexing
eventually,
that dope
my
twist.
entire garden, I'll be forging myself a garden gate eventually, but that requires the right stock metal and the right tools to get everything connected, which I don't have yet.
Oh,
but
gotcha, yeah.
Slowly but surely, I'm thinking about dropping a decent amount on some tools right before the end of the year so I can write them off, because I think I've made enough now that I can start writing shit off.
Oh, right on. Right on. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. See, that's a good feeling. Once you're something that starts from the heart becomes a project that becomes a like a W-9 or like a tax form, and you're like, ooh, this is a project for realsies. This is me now. I did it. Built something from my heart and from nothing. That's fucking awesome. I think you'll get there for sure, man. There's people who start in something like forging and it ends up in, even like if you take fence work gigs, right? Like the guys from Orange County Choppers, you might end up with something like a custom metalwork shop that's, legendary for something that you might not have thought, might not have been your wheelhouse when you started. I think that, I don't know.
There's a guy down the road from me that makes like pot racks and things like that. Oh. So I'm gonna try and get in touch with him or her. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, but I'm gonna try and get in touch with them and maybe see about checking out their shop and just learning from someone who's been doing it longer instead of just learning off the internet.
Right on. That'd be really cool. Yeah, having actual hands-on kind of apprenticeship with somebody is, man, nothing can really like mess with that kind of experience. That's really how I got good at like maintenance work, like handyman work, jack of all trades kind of handyman work.
Yeah, proper trade stuff like this, like an apprenticeship is honestly the way to do it.
Yeah, I followed a couple different people. You guys will hear me on the stream refer to a few different people like from my past as bosses, like my good bosses, and been really fortunate enough to learn a lot from two people in particular, and then stay in a career long enough that I was able to pass it on to other people who are still in that field. And I feel really fortunate to have like done that a couple of times in my young life. Like I've done it in kitchens where I've gotten skilled enough. I've been able to be in like a management position and been able to pass my skills on. And then when I went into like handyman work, it's general labor, and what I was able to pass on by the end of it was, I don't know, just things that I feel like everybody should know by the end of my tenure with maintenance. But JC says on Twitch, I was traveling overseas, so ground travel isn't really an option, lol. Oh my. Were you going overseas, JC? I wonder where the hell he's at. But we're back on Twitch. We've made the triumphant return to Twitch and Facebook. We're back on Twitch and Facebook.
I didn't even realize you stopped Twitch.
I did. That's a big part of the reason why is there's almost nobody that I've reached the follower goal on Twitch. But I fell out through Hanukkah because I encountered anti-Semitism really heavy on that platform. And
I forget they're really bad there.
Really, really bad there. And I don't really know how to... I don't really particularly prioritize now in my mind or care about my relationship with Twitch. I'm very grateful for everybody who watches me on there. And... I met some cool people there. I felt like it's become an overwhelming amount of the people who engage on Twitch, particularly if I'm doing anything that's, celebrating my culture, my heritage. I'm immediately targeted, or I catch a DDoS or something crazy happens.
I feel like with Twitch, you got to get on with someone who already has a big following and do some collaborations to even get noticed.
You do, and then you have to navigate. Then you have to navigate the toxicity of that person's fan base. You know what I mean? I have a lot of really well-meaning friends on Twitch who do really well on Twitch. It feels like, or they will do really well on Twitch. They've started and they're doing everything according to the book, right? And they're not even going to know that some of the people following them wouldn't like me being Jewish. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to come up when they do a stream, but it would come up when I do one, so there's like certain times where it's like, I've been almost scared to collaborate with anybody on Twitch. I feel like it's just a fairly toxic climate there sometimes. But I've also not found anybody who really does what we do that's down to collab on there.
I mean, to kind of prove your point on that, heck, I don't even think I knew you were Jewish until like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you gotta keep it a secret in the South, man.
I understand.
Yeah, you gotta keep a secret in the South in particular. Like, there's really, you can, it shows up when I'm a jaded bitch during the holidays. That's really when people can tell the most, like before it came out in school. It kind of came out in school at one point, kind of thing. And then by the time we really met each other, it had already come out at school, and I got quite a bit of heat at school, and I think our immediate friend group knew that when we first met, and they never really were like that. Like Dalton, Brandon, Arianthe, they were never really, they knew I didn't really care to talk about it, and I would have things happen at school around them that was like, we grew up in kind of the like the South Park era, so I had people like checking my neck for a bag of gold.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, I caught a lot of Kyle-esque heat where people are basically mimicking what they heard on South Park at me, and it was hurtful when I was a kid. And I think my immediate friend group like knew that by the time we met. It was like, all right, might as well call me Stan Frank, you know what I'm saying? I'm in hiding, like they know I catch heat and it sucks, and that it's the South and I get weird about it. It just scares me. I still don't like want to do a menorah in a window, even though I know I'm in a place where there's a lot of people here. I'm in a metropolitan area. I'm in the middle of a very big city. And
is it traditionally kept in a window?
Yeah, you want to. Yeah, I normally, at least on the last night, make it visible. Like put that sucker right in the window.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure. I've never really looked into that. I'm not sure if that's a localized thing. That's just something. I don't know. I don't know. I know that Hanukkah's, again, it's like a minor holiday, so a lot of like Jews in Israel don't even really. They just eat jelly donuts for 8 days, and it is what it is. You work through it and stuff like that. But man, I definitely used to think that, like, I don't remember where I got that from either. But that's always been my goal. Or if I can, or if I'm in a safe place, I'll even put it in a backyard. Like if I have a fenced-in backyard, I'll just put it in the window. Like, but in the South, when I'm living in Arkansas, even when I was in a home that my grandfather had owned and left us, I still didn't really feel comfortable putting that shit in the window. I did open the window, which was in view of the table where I had it at, my menorah last year, but yeah, I'm also of complicated descent, there's Christians in my background. I've got a lot of different branches that came together to make me, and while Abraham and the descendants of are in there's a lot of other stuff in there that I try to celebrate too, and I'm trying to really remember is important. Yesterday's conversation is talking about, I have Norse ancestry too. Like there's, those motherfuckers ran out of fish in the North Sea and started raping their way all the way to the Mediterranean, and they did some. There's a little bit of fucking Denmark and Norway in my ancestry.com. So I try to recognize the kind of cool Viking stuff. There's definitely like epigenetic things like we were talking about yesterday that I just relate to and find dope. And behaviors we, like Justin, you and I had even as kids, that it's like, oh shit, yeah, it's because we're little Vikings.
Yeah, I did, like, once Special brought that up yesterday, my brain just kind of malfunctioned.
I think it did it to a few people. People were like, holy shit, you're blowing my mind. And it's like, yeah, we had that conversation before the tattered map on Thursday. Special and I kind of like a version of that conversation, talking about the straight edge scene and its crypto Nazi roots and its crypto fascistic roots, and where that kind of comes from. It's this, and why it draws a certain genome. There's a genetic familiarity to that behavior for me, and it's comfortable. I liked having something like that. Now I put that energy into different places, and now I've kind of quantified what that energy was. When we were kids, it's just, this is what you do, bitch. Like,
do that tribal war dance or else.
Yeah, you do the tribal war dance. You do the hair like you're Norwegian in the 700s. You have the big long comb over. You crop up the back.
The Vikings were all about taking care of their appearance.
Yeah.
Like, that's, people don't talk about, like, they were found with more combs archaeologically than like any other group of people.
More combs and tattoos. Different just visual aesthetic things. Yeah, but things, yes. Yes. Like there's a visual, yeah.
It hurts every time I think about it.
This was your corporeal form in that culture. It would seem, from what we found, from what they've left behind, it was very, like, that's your decoration explains your life on the planet. This is also a people with a spoken word tradition, and no, they don't write it down.
You told your story. You told your life story with how you presented yourself.
Yeah, so there's almost a theatricality to the way people presented themselves in daily life. And that is appealing as hell. Like, to me, anyway. Again, as somebody with some Norse ancestry, I'm a child of the world, I suppose. Now, if Lux and I were to have a child, I think there would be literally every like major landmass of the world in that child's genome. We're both pretty. We're like mutts, I'm a mutt on a mutt on a mutt. But I also think that's important for the future. But man, I do love celebrating in a proper way, like the Viking elements of my ancestry, because it's so cool and it's been forgotten. I love that there's a reformation and return of Norse paganism. Like, they're building actual establishments now to practice it. It's returned as an actual recognized religion in the world. You have things like heathenry sects, which, it sounds like what you're involved in, Justin, is really cool and really nice. Like, it's full of really good people.
It's the most inclusive heathen group I've ever encountered.
That's really cool. It seems like that's the bright future of that. Now we maybe know where to put that. I know special guest worries about it, that kind of thing being controlled. And yes, there's going to be attempts at control, but I think that we're going to keep seeing reactions to those attempts of control over orthodoxy when it comes to Norse paganism, and it'll come back in a positive way.
That's one of our main things, is we focus on orthopraxy, not orthodoxy.
Ah, yeah. See? Yes, exactly. It's important. It's important. The definition of those kinds of things, the way you handle it, the importance of it, and where you put those energies. There's a lot of room for coercion and things like that. And yeah, making that slight distinction. What up, Graf? Good morning, dude. Good morning, dude. How you doing, dude? Good. Welcome to the special Saturday stream, dude. Saturday morning coffee. It's going back to 7 a.m. streams. It's gonna happen. Let's do it. I'm doing it.
You got this.
I'm waking and baking. I'm gonna take naps. I'm gonna have naps after the stream. Post the stream. Take a nap, dude. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Wake up from the nap. Crush fucking edited content. It's gonna be great. I'm going to do a rants series. I haven't announced it really yet, but I've been cooking up and shooting and working on the editing of a couple different series. We have the reviews that we've launched. We got to shoot another review. And this afternoon, we are going to shoot and post definitely one, if not two, rants. The topics, I got a whole list of topics to rant about. There's things that I realize that get brought up on the stream that maybe I need to clip. And I've been trash at making clips. So I've consolidated points down over the last month on paper. I'm going to do rant videos where I go
Well,
off.
when you're having to go through like 4+ hours of content to make clips, it's kind of hard.
And
I mean, just loading it into the program alone takes forever.
I was about to say it's really rough on the software in particular. Like, it's just rough on my computer on the editing bay to edit that. It's rough on, while digital storage is cheap and damn near free, it's just hard to... I do so much, I make so much that there's logistically no way to do it without a room dedicated to, I don't know, storage. You know what I mean? Like, I have to have my own Zappa like basement tapes room where this is where I would keep, because I also have music storage to worry about, and that's the majority of it, is tracking music, because I track a lot of live instruments. And that takes takes, and I save a lot of takes just in cases. I'm bad about that. So I will fill a computer, like, if it takes...
Me too. I'll take the same take 3 times and it'll sound exactly the same, and I'll still take a fourth.
Yeah. There's like the Para Aduma project, the heavy metal, the special guest and I have been working on. It's one of those things where you have to bounce it down. It becomes so take heavy. You have to find the takes that you like, get the mix that you like, bounce it down, keep moving forward, and then use the bounce down kind of as you move forward. I do that with the drum when I produce drums. I don't necessarily produce drums traditionally. I kind of do a hybrid of a bunch of different drum production methods at one time. I'll do a little bit of stuff from the metal world, but if I'm even doing the Para Aduma stuff, there's times where if you were to watch me and know what metal drum production looks like, you would assume I was like a hip hop producer or something. Like there's little things I'll do. Sometimes I'll get something going, test out a kit, like what I'm doing, sample it as opposed to leave it in the MIDI. Does that make sense? I'll do sometimes like sample work and stuff like that, but that requires takes.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I'll use it almost like a live instrument by the end of it, just to get a very live flow. And if you listen to some of the Chenga Haranga or Para Aduma, I feel like I've really come into myself with that method, like using it to write and improv almost at the same time. And from a composition perspective, like that's just how I do drums now. That's just how I write rhythms. It's supposed to be, depending on the music you're doing, the heartbeat, right? It's the live element most of the time. And so if you hear like a hip hop beat I've done and there's a boom bap, it's probably came down to at some point me loading in the boom and the bap and plugging it in with a pad, and rocking my head at the same time. I'll kind of pop into things like that where I don't traditionally write MIDI like people normally would. You listen to like a periphery track, right? And the drum work is great. That's like kind of the drum work you're looking for, for like a modern, like when you say modern dope drummers, you kind of think like periphery people like that, like Matt Penny from Dillinger Escape Plan. And I know that a lot of that is like MIDI and trigger work and stuff like that, but I don't do it that way. I do like a hybrid of that. Like I do a lot of that, but I'll render that shit down into a sampler and plug it into and build my drum track like I'm doing a hip hop record. Sometimes I want more grit, or I just want there to be natural flow, I also do some weird changes with time signatures in a way that I think tortures special guests, but boy, is he good at figuring that shit out. But that's another one.
God, that would have to be annoying trying to program on MIDI.
Yeah, you just can't. Like it's one of those things where it's like I set the time changes on like in a linear fashion with like an automation tool. Like here's where we go to this BPM, here's where we go to this BPM, and here's where we change time signature. I'll change the grid first, but then I'll plug in like my MIDI stuff, my samples, my drum tracks, my whatever, my rhythm. And not necessarily a traditional way to do it, but when you do it that way, I find that like you have these opportunities to change the composition to be something that fits a flow a little bit better, as opposed to fits your initial idea. And I'm always looking for ways to compromise with nature, I guess, when I'm making music.
Yeah, songs definitely write themselves as you go, and you'll go in with an idea, but that's not what it's going to come out like, because the song's going to want to write itself in whatever way it wants to write itself.
Yeah. Fgraph says, I don't want to sidetrack, but Jay, do you have a Patreon? I do not have a Patreon. The best way to support me as an artist and what I do is to grab yourself something out of the merch store, download a record. I've considered a Patreon multiple times, but I think I prefer to just make sure there's a product involved if somebody wants to support the channel. You know, I want to make sure there's just actually something of substance you get to have, you know, and I don't know if I could, you know. Oh, John Jett wishes us a happy holidays. Hey, thank you, man. Happy holidays to you too, John. But yeah, no Patreon or anything, just a humble artist peddling his wares. If there's anything, I also collaborate with other artists. You know, we have the little logo down here, the Murk Yes. We have stickers of that. That's designed by one of our Murkies, Gardy. We have the Murkdis hoodie, limited edition champion Murkdis hoodie. It's got a design on it made by Angel, special guest wife. She's an illustrator, animator. She's great. We've got, you know, the best way to support the channel is just get something for yourself that you like, you know. If you like any of the music you hear on the stream or you hear me talk about, I've got the links in the description. You go to the MURKradio website, hit music. Boy, that'll take you, I believe, to the Murk Spotify. And so I think I've decided to move forward. Instead of an NFT or a Patreon or anything like that, I think I'm just going to keep traditionally releasing records to, you know, I'm going to digitally aggregate my records, distribute them. At some point, I'll have physical copies of records. That people
so when some of you go to work, you pull up his music and you just leave it playing while you're gone.
There you go. That's another really good way to support me. If you're looking to donate anything, or, you know, I want you to spend time and have something in your hands, or something in your ears for your dollar. Don't want it to be worth nothing, you know. It's part of the agreement we make as artists and somebody who appreciates the art. Like I want to make sure that relationship stays stable through Murk as a project. And I don't want to tip things off kilter and end up in anything that could even be misconstrued as, I don't know. I feel like when I looked at kind of how other people who were similar to me do a Patreon, I got a little scared at the, I'd have to hire somebody. If I hired somebody, I could, an editor, my amount of content would double. And that's when I could probably do like Patreon exclusive stuff. But I'll probably make sure everything is on YouTube and make sure it's, you know, watching the YouTube videos even supports, you know, if you're not a YouTube premium or plus, like if you're not like a premium subscriber, there's ads on a lot of the streams and content. We're a monetized channel, and that helps. That helps. But I want to make sure it's always attached to something where we're talking, we're hanging out, or I'm performing, or doing something to set a mood. I've got an idea for a new Murk record and kind of a big project behind it. I'm gonna see along the course of these next two, doing like reviews and rants and moving back to edited content, moving back to the 7 a.m. to like noon grind for the talk show. Gonna see if I can crack a new Murk record, but instead of streaming myself making it or anything like I've talked about in the past, I think probably what I'll do is release it as edited content episodically, but still show you guys the behind the scenes of the making of a record, I've got a few different ideas. I've storyboarded some stuff, and it's me, so by the time I'm at storyboarding, that means I'm gonna shoot it. So it's gonna happen. I get funky about the Murk projects now, man. Once I've put my mind to it to a certain degree, I kind of know when, all right, this is the idea. This is where I'm moving forward with it, because I float a lot of different stuff around. You guys have seen on the channel, if you followed long enough, like I've changed format all the time, change time slot, just tool around, find what's best for me, find what's best for you, compromise with nature a little bit. I'm so used to making music alone that I've built this relationship with kind of the chaotic nature of nature, and that's who I compromise with creatively. If that makes any sense to anybody. I know, Justin, you probably understand what I'm saying. You work at a forge, so you compromise with nature. Oh, damn near the entire time you're doing that, right?
Oh yeah, the entire time.
Yeah,
Sorry, I fell off for just a second, but I'm back.
Oh, you're good, brother. Again, special Saturday stream. I'm early as hell. I had no clue what anyone had going on today. I just know I felt better, and last night, Lux and I were scheming.
But yeah, no, you're totally working with nature. You're working with the air. You're working with the fire. You're working with elements of earth, like the whole shebang. And then at the end, you quench it all in water. So I mean, you get the whole 4-pack, if you will.
Every element involved. That forging seems exactly like that's, and I try to find where that can happen in a record. That's why I was kind of ranting about how I build rhythm tracks and stuff like that. That's kind of a work of me compromising with cutting up time and space and air and perception, and just kind of these elements to nature and time and the perception thereof that you have to work with. There's times where also I fell out of my making fast music phase a long time ago, and I write slower music for the most part. Too slow.
Yep, I know that feeling.
Too slow. I write too slow of music, like most of the time. I have to raise the BPM on a composition of mine, because I have to make that compromise with nature and think about the natural ear and think about the popular ear. And it's a compromise I choose to make because, I don't know, it's not just part of the agreement between the artist and the audience. It's part of me growing. Does that make sense? Where I used to try to beat something like that into submission and say, no, I'll find the audience. It'll be one note for 30 minutes. Like, no one wants to hear that record. It's not a good record. I need to change elements of it or speed it the fuck up so people listen to it.
Yeah. I mean, altering, make the stuff that you want to make for fun, but if you're wanting to put it out there for other people, you've got to add that element into the creation process. Mm-hmm. You have to take it into consideration.
And I've actually found that when I compromise with nature, I'm more happy and I have a more listenable, and there's more replay value to my projects for me personally when I do that. And I didn't expect that result. there's things that I ended up making that I'm like, I put on frequently for myself. I do kind of fall into that Lil Wayne hole though, where it's like, what do you listen to, Lil Wayne? And he's like, myself, dude. I'm not putting anyone else's tape on. I don't write anything down, and I'm trying to remember what I'm about to perform. So I don't perform. So.
Most of the pieces that I've kept for myself have been things that I thought were messed up when I was about halfway through making them, but kept working on them anyways, and they ended up better than the previous pieces.
See, that compromise with nature and yourself, that compromise that, you know, it's almost unnatural, but I find that it's the best way to kind of fuck with the gods, if you will, and let them know, nah, I'm a force of will. And there's, you thought you had me in some trick logic before, and you don't. I'll make this listenable and do it my way and this and that, and I'll keep working on it, and I'll see it through to the end. Like, absolutely. I know what you're saying though. Like, and that's how it is for me anyway. I almost get spiteful by the end of it. Like, nah, I'm gonna finish this. Nature doesn't tell me when I'm done. I tell me when I'm done. But yeah, but
it might tell you how to get to the stopping point.
Exactly.
But it doesn't tell you to stop.
Exactly. Like, no, I'm going to use you, nature. We're going to compromise here. I'm not done. And I realize it's not going to look like I initially planned, but we're going to get there, damn it. We're going to get to an end. We're going to get to an end of this thing. Man. Speaking of end to things, an end to things, I really wish COVID would fucking end. I know that there's no way. I think society will probably be different for, you know, the foreseeable future. But man, do I wish this shit never happened. I fucking hate it. I am on both sides. I hate mandatory vaccinations. I hate people who hate mandatory vaccinations. I hate people who remain unvaccinated. I hate that I've had a hard time getting a vaccination. I hate the whole thing. I miss things. I miss stuff. You know, like just stuff. The bottom half of people's faces. And then you finally get to see the bottom half of someone's face nowadays, and it's like, that's not what I thought it would be. It's become this like weird surprise. I don't like it. I don't like that. A lot of me reading social cues sometimes comes down to being able to see a mouth for some reason, just that bottom half of the face. I also lip read a little bit. Grew up around loudspeakers and stuff. You know what's up, Justin. Like, you just... I'm sure you fall back on some lip reading every now and then in a loud situation. I do. You know what I mean? Like, feels like for some reason musicians are hella good at it. Like, naturally good at lip reading.
It just helps when you're easily overstimulated and you're trying to tune out all the sound so you can still kind of understand what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And even just knowing the rhythm in which someone put words out there can normally throw me at least enough of a pattern to be like, oh, we're talking about a library or whatever is in context to the moment. But I'm segueing into COVID for a reason. I have some news article. Wait, not article. I have a video pulled up about COVID, about the Biden administration and something they've submitted into the Supreme Court about COVID. I forget exactly what the headline said, but we follow the news here at MURKradio, and while I've had a rough week and fallen off of it, I thought today would be a decent day to maybe catch up a little bit and maybe catch a little bit of a morning burn. Look, the sun's coming up where I'm at. So if you got them, smoke them. Fudge it.
The Biden administration is asking the
Let's check
Supreme
this out. I got the
Court to
screen shared
reinstate
here in
its vaccine
Discord.
policy for workers at federally funded hospitals. It's hoping to block rulings by lower court judges that halted the requirement from going into effect in 24 states. Court papers filed yesterday note that more than 800,000 Americans have died of COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. The administration argues the requirement is particularly justified now as the Omicron variant spreads. So for more on this, we want to bring in Weijia Jiang, who is at the White House. Good morning again to you, Weijia. What more can you tell us about this emergency filing?
So, Anne-Marie, as we expected, after President Biden announced and then took steps to implement a federal vaccine mandate, which does impact those federal healthcare workers, this was tied up in court, and it remains tied up in several lower courts. So in this emergency ruling, the Biden administration is asking the Supreme Court to allow the mandate to go into effect, saying that it is urgently needed health and safety measure to take effect before the winter spike in COVID-19 cases worsens even further. And it said that the requirement will save hundreds or even thousands of lives each month. Now, this particular request comes a day after a New Orleans-based Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals lifted what was a nationwide ban on the mandate, meaning it had to be able to go into effect. So instead, there are 14 states as part of that lawsuit that basically can re-implement a ban and not force these healthcare workers to get their vaccines. Separately, in another court of appeals, there is about 10 states where the court decided something differently. And so those states are not able to lift the ban on the mandate. So the administration is saying for all of these states currently wrapped up in lawsuits, as these lawsuits play out, to go ahead and allow the policy to go into effect, because again, they're stressing that this is a life and death situation, and that ahead of the really cold months, they are concerned there will be even more spikes.
Yeah, as the courts sort of grind their way through looking at all of these cases and then take breaks for the holidays, the Omicron variant is spreading all over the place. And testing centers are dealing with incredibly long lines as people try to determine whether or not they indeed have COVID. What are we hearing from the administration on its current efforts to combat COVID? I know the messaging now is, if you haven't been vaccinated,
what are they doing right now for us? Not issuing a stimulus check, I'll tell you that.
Main thrust?
Well, it was just a couple weeks ago that President Biden announced his winter COVID plan, which is centered around boosters and vaccines, making it easier
and not
for people
stimulus checks
to get them. But also, it's supposed to make testing more widely available and have insurance companies reimburse people for testing, to have more centers for the uninsured and community clinics for people to get tested so they can track the virus more easily. But Anne-Marie, as you mentioned, we are seeing anecdotally, people waiting in line still for hours, not to mention the fact that it is not easy to go through all that paperwork to get reimbursed from your insurance company if you do buy a test. So even though that hasn't even gone into effect yet, it will be interesting to see whether people actually attempt to do that, because we've already heard that people have tried and are currently failing. They're also sending more surge response teams to different hotspots. But the main message, Anne-Marie, you are right, that they're trying to stress, and have been for the better part of this year or all year, is that people have to get their vaccines in order to protect themselves, as well as their boosters, or it's hard to imagine a way out of this. And perhaps, this is the new normal, but it's not normal, because we're seeing surge after surge after surge. And I think you see a frustration from the president and from healthcare officials, federal health officials on his COVID task force, as they repeat the same message every day.
I really feel her. She kind of got the stutter butts. I get stutter butts.
Carrots, and there have been sticks, and an awful lot of people have been vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the child tax credit. I'm talking about stimulus.
Emergency room beds are filling up,
and I give that to my baby mama. I get half of that, 300, and I give it to my baby mama, Rich.
He has on his Christmas list. He wanted his social spending plan passed by Christmas.
I want the stimulus.
He had to acknowledge that it's not
$1,000 minimum.
In his stocking, it's Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Perhaps it's appropriate that he's putting coal in there, because he's still.
Hey, good morning, special. Bad dreams.
But the good news is that they're still talking. They're still talking. But what are they talking about?
Well, that's why we don't know whether it's good news or bad news, Anne-Marie, because the president had to issue this statement, do a little damage
Oh, I was
control
confused by
amidst
single
several
church
reports,
checks. I was like,
including
I don't want no
our
church check.
colleagues on Capitol Hill, that said basically even though these two
But
Joes
yes,
had been
like
talking
that.
frequently, the negotiations were going poorly. They
one
weren't
big
making
check.
any progress, and so the president issued a statement to
I want
say,
the
"Listen,
bag.
everything is all right," essentially.
Give me
to
the
say
loot.
that, even though
Biden,
we won't meet
give me
this
the
Christmas
loot.
deadline that he thinks,
You confused-eyed
in a matter of
old
days
raisin,
and
give me the
weeks, there
loot.
will be progress made and the bill will advance. He says he's working with Schumer and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, along with Joe Manchin, of course, to try to hash out these differences. But
No,
you
it's
know,
literally,
there is no
Rich, it's
time
literally
frame
called
for
when I
this
receive it,
might
the
get
child
done.
tax
And
credit.
it's hard to imagine
It's a tax
that it
credit.
will get
No,
done
it's
in
not
the
as
current form that it's
no, I want
in,
the loot.
because, again, Joe Manchin has, been such a holdout from day one. We know that, Senator Lindsey
Trump
Graham
did it. I want the
publicly said
loot.
that he had a conversation
I
with
want the
Manchin,
Trump
which
era
Manchin
loot.
called some of these proposals gimmicks. We know that Manchin has frequently
I want the
expressed
bag,
his
man.
concerns about inflation, not to mention some of the substance in the bill.
$1,000 a month.
So they have a lot to work out, Anne-Marie, and it would be irresponsible for anybody to try to put a time frame or a time target on this. What we do know is that it's not going to happen before the new year.
All right. Well,
Holy shit,
yeah, I think
Special.
that's
Your
pretty clear
nightmare
for
was just
sure.
bouncing around
What does
Northwest
the Senate
Arkansas
delay
in the
on
snow.
passing the Build Back Better Act mean for voting rights
That's
legislation?
wild.
Because it's not just about child tax credits and things like that. There are also other issues being addressed in this piece of legislation. So what about voting rights?
Yo, back before weed was legal there, Special, I've made that exact trip in the ice to get weed. And then ended up back at home, no weed. Just saying, like, that's an actual nightmare I've lived.
Voting rights is not in this piece of legislation, but perhaps it could pave the way for more emphasis to be put, which we have seen actually in the past week. President Biden just had a call with several senators yesterday to talk about different paths forward for voting rights. But, unlike the reconciliation process that they're able to use for Build Back Better, they can't do that with voting rights because it has to have a direct impact on the federal budget. So what does that mean? It means they have to have 60 votes in order to get this piece of legislation onto the floor, which means they need Republican support. Or it means they have to change the Senate rules and eliminate the filibuster for this particular piece of legislation. And that means that they would be able to go at it alone without a single Republican because they have the 50 votes to do that. But that's really going to be a tough road ahead too, Anne-Marie, because we don't know if Joe Manchin and especially Arizona's
Filibusters. It's going to be a whole episode of the rants, but let me tell you right now, I respect any politician in the modern day that shows up with the filibuster, man. Look, there's 1,000 reasons to talk shit on Ted Cruz, okay? 1,000 reasons. I get this. I know this. Ted Cruz knows this. He looks like a blobfish. That's one of the reasons, okay? Moving on from that. The filibuster for Obamacare was legendary. That was legend moves, and I don't care. That's something when you throw that in your career as a career politician, boy, you're coming in with some heat. You just put a gun on your hip, and that was pimp moves, dude. He was reading Green Eggs and Ham, doing that filibuster. He fucking live on air, I'm watching him on C-SPAN, put his kids to bed on the phone, filibustering Obamacare, dude. Yeah, Let's see, special guest says, I'm so sick of people being questioned in the House and Senate filibustering out their answers. Thank you, Senator. I really appreciate having the opportunity to be here to answer this question today. Yeah. We all want to hear some green eggs and ham. Yeah, F-Graph. Yeah, like there's just, insert 2 more minutes of appreciation and non-related info. Yeah, special. Yeah, I also have been, the hearings have been ridiculous. Filibustering their answers. That's a really good way to kind of word. I view it as obfuscation. This is the Senate, senators will frequently obfuscate away from, it's like we have a whole Senate full of Aaron Burrs sometimes like you watch them and it's like I don't know how you feel about anything. And I don't feel like some senators know a goddamn thing about what it's like to live in the modern world. They have some like almost Bush era hangups, and I see you guys rolling in here. I see you guys popping in, all you murkies, popping into the special Saturday surprise morning, Saturday streams. I don't have an actual title or plan. I just wanted to really make up for not being here through the week and also use today to announce that I'm returning to the 7 a.m. starting time. We're going to get this shit knocked out by noon. We're going to do the talk show early as hell, and I'm going to edit content all afternoon, so... Special guest says, dude, Kennedy asking that person the same question 9 times in a row and getting minutes of non-related non-answer back for each one. Exactly, Special. When you get constant Senate obfuscation, like that's genuinely how I view it. Like they're just trying to not answer your question. I don't play that shit. Like you guys will hear me frequently sometimes like try to pull someone back to a yes or no when I asked a question. I don't clarify sometimes at the end of my question that this was a yes or no. And I unintentionally give people room to kind of go off, and then I gotta kind of wind it back. You guys will hear me do this, and it sounds like friction with people that I have really good rapport with, but it's not. It's just me saying, hey, hold on, cool it down. I meant that as a yes or no. Answer my fucking question. There's a my bad thing. But that's not what's going on in these Senate hearings. These motherfuckers are just straight up obfuscating, and then they aren't. There's this decorum expected of the person who's asking a question to a senator, like, hey, you don't have that moment to clarify, hey, that was a yes or no, please answer my question. You treat them with this like respect your elders type of decorum, and I'm sorry, the decorum has been weaponized into politababble. I really like that term, Special, politababble. That's perfect, actually. Politababble. Political babbling and rambling, like where they just literally obfuscate by just kind of rehashing the same talking points. It's what I actually found refreshing about the WWE tactics of the Trump administration during the Trump campaign. During the Trump campaign, their tactics, not the administration's tactics, the Trump campaign's tactics. The administration's tactics, we saw that play out. But during that campaign, you saw this drop of decorum suddenly for the first time. And now people like Jeb Bush are getting crickets from the audience where they used to get old man golf claps. You'll hear you saw politicians during the Trump campaign who were pausing for their golf claps not get anything for the first time in history. So I actually really like that as a tool. It'd be very interesting if people started returning fire to politababble with silence, audience silence. Make them feel like they're politababbling into a fucking echo chamber and that no one's listening. Like I think that's probably the best way to deal with it. Like we watched it crush Jeb Bush's soul live, like it crushed him. So, see, Special says, so not related. So we're going off topic here a little bit. But the original Milo Yiannopoulos is a guy named Douglas Pierce, and he's the inspiration for the modern Nazi neo-folk music scene. Weird thing I discovered yesterday. Hella weird thing you discovered yesterday. That's actually hilarious because Justin shared that link about like folk music. That meme about folk music. That cracks me up. Behind it is a very plumage covered rooster. But I'm gonna play the last couple of minutes of this kind of think piece from CBSN real quick.
Senator Kyrsten Sinema is going to support that. She has already made clear as of now she does not. And so without Republican support, without a changing of the rules, right now it's just a lot of planning in case they do find that support to move forward with voting rights. But, I think the bottom line here, Anne-Marie, is that the president's domestic agenda is going to be a heavy lift to try to check off some of these items as we
Newport Folk Festival. My dad was a musician. Dang, that's cool, San.
Yeah, voting rights, police reform, these are all things that the president talked about while on the campaign trail that had like a sort of a lot of energy when he first got into office, and they also had self-imposed deadlines, soft deadlines, and they just sort of fizzled out. And this Build Back Better plan has really kind of been the stopper and sort of the bottom holding back discussion on almost everything else until it can get through. And as you point out, it's going to be a heavy lift.
And that's really hard, Anne-Marie. The president always says, dance with the person who brought you to the dance. And he has said voting rights is the single biggest domestic issue. He knows who helped propel him into office. He has had several meetings with activists, with leaders in the Black community who have been pushing for more, wondering, when are you going to do something about this? And he just hasn't been able to do anything yet because of the power dynamic in Congress. But
I want the bag. I still want the stimulus check. I still think that's something that could be done to help us. I think it serves beneficial roles to our economy that could really help out a lot of mom and pop places in particular right now. I've watched too many places close down because of this shit, and I'm getting tired of that. Says, I love this laid back podcast. I'd burn one, but I'm driving. I like your style. Oh, thank you, San. Thank you so much. Yeah, we take it pretty easy here. we chill pretty hard. Especially with this surprise Saturday morning stream. Again, sorry I missed the week, guys. I was ill, but I'm out here grinding for you guys. I still love you. Let's see. Ooh, while we're on the Biden administration, feed this cat real quick while I play this real quick video about Biden and Harris have said that they're going to run 2024, and I want to know how many people are considering voting for Biden.
That we have, usually we keep that promise. So I don't have any more details to offer beyond what we've said this week. The president is determined to get this done as soon as possible.
That's a really tough one, Rich.
We're talking about cutting costs for American families. We're talking about child care, elder care. We're talking about prescription drugs, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, which is so critical and important to American families and just to Americans across the country, and also universal pre-K. All these things are critical, and that's what the president is going to continue to focus on.
And I think you can clear something up here when it comes to the question of 2024. The vice president did an interview with the Wall Street Journal, and she was asked if she assumed that Biden would run again. And she didn't say
the cat
yes.
hath
She
been
just
fed.
said that the two of them hadn't talked about it. Of course, you all and the president himself have said that he does plan to seek re-election. So,
yeah, I've missed the morning grind. I think I've decided. I was.
That the vice president and the president has. I could only say what.
I'll be honest. I didn't vote for Biden. I didn't vote for Trump, and I'm probably not going to vote for Biden. And if Trump was to run again, I wouldn't vote for him either. I normally try to vote for some new blood or independent, or I take a Larry King stance on the show and say something ridiculous. I still think Vermin Supreme is a very valid option. I don't see why Vermin Supreme can't be president. I don't see why more people don't view him as a logical option. Let's see. Special guest says, writes in Ragnar Redbeard with Bernie Sanders as VP. Let's get this fire started outside. San Elliott says, I'd vote for a frog before Trump, ... Bernie. Yeah, okay. Seriously though, if I vote, it's to write in Vermin Supreme. Yeah, I say we write in Vermin Supreme in 2024, guys. Yeah, shout out Vermin Supreme. Did he pass away? I might just think that because he's hella old. Again, I apologize to the boomer demographic. I like we talked about yesterday, I have a newfound appreciation for you guys, and we got some boomers that are ride or die, and I love you guys. I wouldn't change that for the world. Putin enjoying Biden. Yeah, we'll take over Ukraine. Ukraine missing Trump. Yeah, that sounds about right, Rich. Special guest, I want you to chime in on that. I think that's a fair statement. It's a fair sentiment in the chat. But to address Sam Elliott, I didn't vote Bernie. I've never really been a Bernie supporter. I've spoken out against socialism on the stream in the past. I do think there are things that can be socialized and should be socialized for compassion's sake. But, hell, I actually believe that a UBI is doable. A universal base income is something doable and a compassionate, valid strategy to employ on this country, okay? Especially in a time of crisis. There are elements to a socialist infrastructure that can work if employed in a capitalist infrastructure the right way. But Bernie Sanders, I don't, it might be because we're of the same tribe. It might be a tribalistic thing. Sometimes I can tell it's kind of like with, Yeshua ben Yosef, like, dude, you didn't rebuild the temple, you're not the Messiah. Don't try to pull one over on me, cuz I know our games. And so I just don't necessarily trust Bernie. And if anybody takes that as racist or whatever, you can, but it's not racist. It's within, it's intertribalism shit as to why I don't like Bernie Sanders, probably. That's me, Special guest says Russia is either going to control Ukraine or Ukraine is going to become, Finlandized. They don't tolerate U.S. bases and missiles there anymore. And neither will China. If Russia takes Ukraine, it will probably take Poland next for the same reason, says Special. Rich says the same people who watched and loved Trump on TV were the ones the media turned to hate him. Oh, straight up rich. Special guest, meanwhile, China wants Taiwan now. It wants Korea tomorrow. It wants Japan after that. And by the time it gets Korea, the Australia and all their coal is their next target. Yeah. When he was on that TV show, it was number one, says Rich again about Trump. Yeah, so Rich, to address Rich real quick, kind of about Trump, he was, very popular. What up, DF? What up, DFK, GF? How you doing on Twitch? We've again, like I've been saying, we made our triumphant return to Twitch. We're back, babies. The anti-Semitism over Hanukkah isn't going to stop me on Twitch. I'm back. And I've also stopped generalizing Twitch, so I think you'll be really happy to find out, Twitch, that, as you heard I learned yesterday, I'm trying to be better about generalizing, particularly the white demographic. Special guest Trump support among Latino households has risen 16% in 2016 to 25% currently. Yeah. Sean Bess, Rich, not all the people. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. DF, I don't think I know you personally. If you'd like to join our Discord, link in description. You can submit a link through there. Sorry, I don't check on unverified links that aren't through the Discord, bud. Monetized on YouTube. Thank you, though. I'm sure it's important and juicy, and I want you part of the community if it's something serious. DF. So join our Discord, DF, and submit your link there. Sean Best says, I think Trump is going to run again. I don't know if he will. I don't know. Rich buddy. Sure, of course, not all the people. Yeah, no, a lot of people. DFK says it's a video of Biden calling the VP President Harris. Holy shit, for real? I wonder if he misspoke, because he does kind of vibe like a Lunesta commercial. I wonder if Biden said that because he's, spacing off. He's like, President Harris. I mean, everyone else around him might as well be president. He's not, he's pretty sleepy looking. Sean says, I think both Dems and Republicans suck. Shout out, Sean. I feel the same way, homie. If you're hella politicized to either degree and you're not going to ride in Vermin Supreme with us Murkies, then you ain't living right. You got to ride in Vermin Supreme. If you guys don't remember Vermin Supreme, he always runs for president. He's got a beard. He wears a boot for a hat, and he thinks everybody should get a pony. No, Vermin Supreme, not Burrito Supreme's pretty. Beef Supreme is the best of the Supremes, you know. I'll make. Hey, don't make you hungry, DF. Welcome to MURKradio. We incite hunger. Special guest, radical, moderate, extremes from both wings. Yeah, especially, yeah, exactly. Radical, moderate. Yeah, see, and it's not even that I'm a radical moderate. I feel like I'm just, I don't know, fairly disillusioned with the system at this point. By the corruption of our beautiful experiment. We have a really great experiment going on, and there's times where the corruption just becomes a little obvious the older you get. And I'm at that age where you feel a little jaded. I think everybody that hits kind of my age does. That's the sentiment I seem to find in literature of people who have written things at my age. Vermin Supreme is that dish made from rats. Yeah, it's kind of like a beef supreme, like nacho, but it's like made of like Nutrin. So it's called.
It's like an apocalyptic version.
Yeah, like radioactive Nutrin nachos. Vermin Supreme. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sean Best says special. Wait, what did he say? Sean, not true all the people, but huge amount of people around the world love Trump, and yeah, he's probably going to run again, especially since Harris/Biden is running again. It says special. Yeah, so yeah, Sean, yeah, he might be. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I see Trump running again, dude. Really? Maybe. I feel like that'd be a hell of a crypto fucking move to make, dude. Moderate doesn't mean middle of the two means. It means take ideas from both sides in moderation as opposed to just trying to come up with a mathematical average between the two. Yeah, that's why I don't necessarily consider myself a moderate. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. If we're going parlor with it, I'm tear this shit down and establish a monarchy. Or a modified monarchy. How about that? I'm a monarchist. How about that? I'm sleeper monarchist the whole time. We all expecting that. Is my dry sense of humor cutting through today? Sean Best says Trump's ego was hurt. He'll run again. Okay. Special guest says Jay's working for the Danish family. Yeah, it turns out I'm actually in the House of Lords of a couple different current European monarchies. So I've been saying since the jump, I got my actual last name has heat with Interpol. So I've been warning y'all, I'm a monarchist this whole time. If you haven't been listening, if this is shocking to you, you haven't been listening.
I mean, you are a pretty big fan of the royal family. So
I've simped for the Queen. I've talked extensively about British history. I'm a monarchist. But you know, probably weird as hell for people to encounter an American who holds that kind of opinion. But you know, we should have fucking established some kind of strange form of American majesty to begin with, and then a family could have decided in American culture instead of fucking honkies out in the wood. I'm generalizing. I did it again. Instead of crazy folk out in the woods. What am I doing? I did it again. Sorry, Twitch.
As one of those crazy folks out in the woods, I think.
Oh, sorry, you cut off. You think what?
I said, as one of those crazy folks out in the woods, I think you're all right.
Oh, thank you. That's kind of part of the problem is this push for, you know, what is American culture, like white culture, and it's like, maybe if that was established by an American king, we wouldn't necessarily have the problem we have today. Should anybody agree with that? No, nobody should agree with that. No, nobody has to disagree with what I'm saying. It's a bad plan. Establishing majesty is a bad plan. Monarchy is a bad plan. It just happens to be how humans organize. And I feel like maybe we could adapt a monarchy to suit the needs, but not now, not in the current context. There's no way. So in America, I vote opposition or independent, or I write in something like firm and supreme. Let's see. I still votes for Elvis, Secret Bula, Social Guest says thousands of tons, millions of acres. Rich Buddy, I will vote for the lead Republican, whoever that may be. I wish one of the Pauls wins one day. You just vote for whoever the Republican is? That's wild, Rich. Special Guest says, it's weird that what we call Americana is a music genre, or as a music genre, is just country music for hipster kids who hate their conservative grandpa. Exactly, Special. Weird double-sided recognition of what they seem to recognize America as. Yeah, Special. And then sometimes you'll have things that are genre tagged as Americana, but it's like an Elvis Costello record, and it's like, what's that fucking British dude know about Americana, dude? What? No.
Makes me think of First Aid Kit. They're like a Swedish band that plays Americana. Talks about like country singers and their songs and stuff. It's funny.
Wild. See, we have a strange. I feel like there's some things that maybe could have, let's just say for argument's sake, as a host position to take, maybe this could have been avoided with an American king and a royal family. That's a cultural figurehead, the Church of America. Wouldn't that be fucking frightening?
Don't you throw those curses around.
Right? Wouldn't that be fucking scary as hell? Its own Protestant fucking reformed religion of America. That'd be crazy as shit. And it all ends up being part of America, the app. What if America, being an American citizen, was an app? Ooh. Nobody should like my opinions right now. I understand this. I'll say things that's just like antithetical to what it means to be an American. It might be how I genuinely feel, but again, it's because I don't know. There's part of me compromising with nature and myself. Special Guest says we have that. Basically, it's pretty much the charismatic Christian TV preacher movement. VOA Sammy Hagar. Wait, what? Joel Osteen, for all intents and purposes, basically heads the Church of America. Well, you have a bunch of people. Well, see, that's the thing, Special, is we have multiple different people thinking they control the church. We have multiple mega churches. I think he might be the number one in ratings right now, but I bet you it'll change to some other shit. You had like the Tammy Faye Baker, the Bakers back in the day, who I think were leading that shit, and they still have a heavy following. So you have like entire channel dedicated to some televangelism. But I don't like it being at the will of the nature's lottery of televangelists controlling the Church of America. Seems a little... That's an experiment right there. like if you imagine, if you will, an old lady at the thing that turns the balls for the lottery for bingo, right? And she's just pulling out new televangelists every couple of decades that are going to lead how crazy Protestants get in America. Like, that's functionally how it seems to be going and has been for a very long time, and that seems scary as hell, Basically a cash-based meritocracy as to who controls American religion. Exactly, Special. Exactly, a cash-based meritocracy. Yeah, if you want your ball in there, you got to make enough money. Rich Buddy says the Church of Merc and the practice of Merkism. No. No religions under my name. No jihads in my name. None.
We're not allowed to start a cult.
No, I'm not. I have very specific reasons why. And I can't. I'm not gonna. Let's just say my 6th great grandfather had a cult, and I'm not gonna be like that. So, yeah. How about that? Not happening. The direct descendant of some pretty kooky shit, and no religions in my name. Honestly, the Pope of the Church of America is Marjo Gortner. I've heard that name, Marjo Gortner. I don't recall who Marjo Gortner is. Remember all the TV evangelists of the 1980s? Exactly, Rich. That's where like the lottery starts, right? And whoever tracks, and like that's where the capitalist meritocracy comes in. It's through television. Absolutely. Rich, it's important to remember that followers are just assholes trying to attach themselves to them. I already have one asshole, and that's all I need. Sean Pez, Tahoe OG today. Oh, hell yeah. Tahoe OG. What was it that I got yesterday at the dispensary? Ooh, I got some good shit. It's a really good indica. I only smoke indicas. Forget that Fatso. I think it's called Fatso. I got a strain called Fatso or some shit. I think it's like a Fatso and OG cross strain. It's killer. And then I got this pen from a company called Drip, the cart, and it's like an 88% indica cart. 0 CBD though, which I didn't know that. It's weird, but it was like half off, so it's a really good deal.
I see that a lot around here.
Yeah, like 0% CBD, but like in like a high ass percentage THC cart.
It's rare to find CBD in any of them anymore here.
Wild. You think they're extracting that CBD, using it somewhere else? Using it in the CBD products?
It makes sense.
See, that's how my brain equates it, but it's because I don't know how they're extracting anymore. I know that, like for some carts, plant glycerin is involved, and I've made a lot of different tinctures with plant glycerins. I sound so crazy when I say that sentence. You don't realize till you say something like that out loud how crazy you fucking sound. But I have made edible tinctures with plant glycerin. And I know that's what people used to make a lot of shit out of, but I don't know what people are using now. Oil or something. I don't know. Like in the dab pens, they're cutting it with something. Oh, right on. Christy's on the road and listening to us. Heck yeah, right on. Special Saturday morning stream being put to good use. Let's see, that was the Biden. Tonight, here we go. Speaking in court. I'm not going to actually say the topic of this video that just happened to come on during the stream. Oh my goodness, what is this? Because it seems like YouTube's been banning people who are covering this trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. So we're going to, I'm going to just put on this real quick, or I don't know how, I actually don't know how this video came on for 3 minutes and 35 seconds, but it looks like it's, I think that's a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell. For the first time since her high-profile trial began, declining to testify in her own defense, telling the judge, "Your Honor, the government has not proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt, and so there's no reason for me to testify."
Maxwell faces charges of perjury, and there are other
bold claims
that the government would skewer her on the stand with.
The former British socialite charged with 6 sex-related trafficking counts, pleading not guilty to all of them. Earlier in the day, Eva Dubin, Epstein's one-time girlfriend, taking the stand for the defense. She's the convicted sex offender's former girlfriend of more than a decade, telling the jury she was never involved in group sex or group sexualized massages with Epstein and alleged victim Jane, who testified earlier this month. Dubin told the jury she has a medical condition that's impacting she showed up like, "I never had orgies with them, ever. I never had orgies with those people." After Dubin, saying she met Jane but never took part in any sexual activity with her.
Using only first names, Jane previously testified that women named Eva and Michelle took
Right
part
on,
in
F.
sexual
Graph.
abuse
Thank
that
you.
occurred at Epstein's
That comment put a
Palm Beach
sideways smile on my
starting when
face.
She was just 14.
If the testimony is complicated or cumbersome, that works in favor of the defense. They don't have the burden of proof. They will tell the jury the government has that burden beyond a reasonable doubt. So the more complicated, the better it is for the defense.
Dubin's testimony a part of the defense's strategy to undermine the statements of 4 alleged victims who say Maxwell lured them into Epstein's alleged sex trafficking ring, while the prosecution tries to prove Maxwell wasn't just an innocent bystander to Epstein's abuse, she helped facilitate and participate in it.
The prosecution's strategy is to put the now dead Jeffrey
I think
Epstein
that's how everyone feels
show
about
that
it.
Maxwell was so associated with him and so involved.
Sorry, again, they're
in
banning
his
YouTubers
abuse
that cover this.
She either knew, should have known, or directly participated in that abuse.
And Tom Winter joins us now from Lower Manhattan. As we saw there in your piece, Tom, Ghislaine Maxwell speaking in court for the first time. What else can you tell us about that moment? You were in the courthouse.
Well, she stood up and very clearly she was prepared to say what she was going to say. Every time that a trial comes to the end, from the defense's perspective, the judge has to ask them, do you want to testify? Do you understand the ramifications? She clearly knew what she was going to say in her British accent, very strong, said, look, I don't think the government's proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and I'm not going to testify, Gabe.
And Tom, how much longer?
Special guest says traffic cop and sex traffic cop sound like 2 way different jobs. Yet both cops. you could commonly drop both of those titles, your job titles, in a conversation without really skipping a beat or catching a breath. But boy, are those 2 very different jobs. Very different jobs. It'd be weird if a traffic cop and a sex traffic cop got together and they actually, like, you know, started a podcast and it was all about how similar their jobs are. Like, what? Like, yeah, a lot of tickets, a lot of citations. Like, what? No, one of you needs to be arresting people. And it's not the one running plates. Lord. But I can't believe that video just came on updating us on the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I can't believe that happened. Oh man, you know, we as a channel don't cover it anymore, as to not upset our YouTube overlords. And, you know, I hold firm on that position, and I can't believe the sanctity of MURKradio was violated with such a topic. And it happened though. So, yeah, unfortunately, I guess we all have some updates on the Ghislaine trial. Looks like the prosecution is rest and the defense is not putting Ghislaine on trial or on the stand because Ghislaine did a drop the mic statement and said, I don't feel I did a good job because the prosecution didn't do a good job. So I don't feel they did a good job proving their case. Drop the mic. I don't need to testify. Yeah. Sean Best says she is being used to draw away attention from the real story and names. This might be a fixed trial. Special guest says it feels like a fixed trial to me, Sean. It definitely feels weird that YouTube won't allow coverage of it. That's how it feels anyway. Now, they haven't struck down any of my videos covering it, but who knows?
It's probably people using certain words that you're not supposed to use on TOS.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Now, we've been riding pretty tight on that. You know, I'll drop the F-bomb. I've been trying to really fudge and watch my chunchin language. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta quit funtin' cursing all the time. I can't. It's bad. I'm bad about it. Even around children. I don't censor myself around kids normally, and it can be a problem. But, you know, because other people's kids don't necessarily have the wherewithal and the conversations and rapport I have with my kiddos. So it's like, you know they can tell me, like, I wanted to kick his ass. And it's like, that's from their heart to their mouth. They really wanted to kick that kid's ass. It's important. You know? Let's see. Someone named, yeah, I know what you mean. Word. But let's see. Just thank you, Sean. I will try. What's up? That's the news. Now, did you guys hear about Disney apparently not reaching a deal with YouTube? Apparently, YouTube is pulling, while we're talking about YouTube, YouTube is pulling a bunch of Disney content. Disney related stuff or Disney news, like any news owned by Disney is now, I guess, being like it's going to be removed from YouTube if they don't strike a deal soon. Let's see if I can find a story on it. Because I don't think I'd seen anybody report on it. Yeah, YouTube TV dropped ESPN, Disney, and ABC. It's almost, it's, you know, it's a big problem they're having. There's only one person talking about it. It looks like The Streamable. He put it out an hour ago too. Damn, who's The Streamable? Huh. Oh, it was okay. So more than 17 Disney-owned channels were removed from Disney Plus because they just couldn't strike a deal. They couldn't strike a deal with YouTube and Disney, and yeah, so YouTube pulled that content. So if you're, I feel like you probably got shafted if you subscribe to YouTube TV. That has to really be pissing off a lot of people. I would demand some kind of refund. I bet they're having a hell of a time at YouTube. I know none of us creators have been happy with the way they're doing this new algorithmic based kind of censorship and editing. It's been affecting people like H3 for sure, where, you know, they're algorithmically, like Ethan Klein, for example, covered a Korean channel that reviewed one of his older videos. So he's watching them watch him. And that company struck them. He didn't strike them for reviewing his stuff and posting it on YouTube, but they struck him, and it was like an algorithmic strike, I believe. And you'll see algorithmic strikes. It's something that you saw here on this channel if you guys have been watching or listening for a while. Arianthe made a video for Skinwalker Ranch, and they made her son made a trailer for it, and in it she uses a song that Special Guest and I released off of an album we released. Link in description. And it is technically copywritten material. We released it, you know, like as a record label. So it auto struck it. But here's the thing, that record is technically on Special Guest and listed as free use. Special Guest has a certain ideology and this kind of beautiful philosophy behind his back catalog where it's like it's for the people, you know. My music's for my children. Special Guest music is for the children. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've always really appreciated that about him as an artist. When he puts himself into his art, he puts all of himself into it, and it's for everybody. And, you know, what do you do when you have someone like Special Guest and that ideology get their auto strike and stuff on his behalf that he would never strike, you know? Yeah. Special Guest says, y'all, I don't make music to make money, but I never mind making money making music. Yeah. That's why he fucks with someone like me who's like, nah, we need to aggregate this record. We need to release it proper, you know. Special Guest says, I don't make money making music in general, so why limit its reach to people to people who have money. I've always appreciated that about Special Guests, but I'm also someone, you know, I appreciate outsider music too. So like these music from outside demographics or music that is the soundtrack to a schism demographic. Things like Daniel Johnston, you know, R. Stevie Moore. Special Guest turned me on to a character in music history who does not get enough attention. R. Stevie Moore. R. Stevie Moore is the reason I really do what I do today at home. He's a guy who he built a home studio and he released all his records. He recorded them at home. You know, if I've got a price point, Merk, you know what it is. $300. I was joking. I made this joke to Lux last night. I was saying, man, That's a special guest idea. Price point $300. Like, yeah. If special guest has a big money making idea, it's something like, you know, a trifold record that comes with some ayahuasca and an ayahuasca recipe, and you listen to the record while drinking the ayahuasca. It's all hand painted and handcrafted in bamboo sleeves. Price point $300. It's all made of leather. That's my favorite. Yeah, special because it's all leather, etched leather bound, everything. Vinyl double LP, etched leather. You know, we have a scroll that it comes with that has all the lyrics for the record on it. Price point $300. That's a special guest idea right there. He's always doing these RZA-esque transcend music and art ideas if he does put his heart into like a, you know, animals lived so you could have this. We just immediately draw the line between us vegans and PETA. We're just like, you guys are over there, we're over here. You buy our leather bound album or fuck right off. Oh man. Yeah, it's I love it. I love it so much. Let's see. Let's refresh the news here. Unvaccinated kids can test to stay in class. Man, that sounds like a reason to not test and get kicked out of class, because I don't, you know, I'd love to get kicked out of class for some unvaccinated shit. That'd be fucking hilarious. I was always kind of looking for a reason to bounce out of there, though, you know. Whoa, a truck driver got 110 years for the Colorado crash that killed. Whoa. Okay, so I missed some news this week. Some of these are going to be some older stories. If you guys are familiar with them, I'm sorry, but this is a kind of an I'm sorry for the week stream. So, tearfully telling the judge that he was not a murderer. 26-year-old Rogelio Aguilera Maderos. Ooh, his truck slammed into more than 24 cars and 4 other semi-trailers that were already stopped on the highway. The crash produced a huge fireball that incinerated some of the vehicles, killing 4 people and hospitalizing 6. Whoa, and he got 110 years. Now, that is wild. Oh no, hold on. This is from CNN, and I gotta see if there's any truth behind it, because, you know, Trump uses anti-Semitic tropes to criticize Jewish Americans? Did that happen?
In our politics lead, former President Trump using, according to the Anti-Defamation League, quote, classic anti-Semitic stereotypes about Israeli and Jewish control of Congress and the press, unquote. In an interview with Israeli journalist Barak Ravid, Trump claimed, falsely, that Jewish Americans do not like or care about Israel, and he spouted off a number of other rather ignorant remarks about Jews. Let's get right to what the former president said with Jonathan Greenblatt of the Anti-Defamation League. Jonathan, before we discuss Trump's comments, trigger alert for people who don't like anti-Semitism. Let's play them.
People in this country that are Jewish no longer love Israel. I'll tell you, the evangelical Christians love Israel more than the Jews in this country. It used to be that Israel had absolute power over Congress, and today I think it's the exact opposite. You look at the New York Times hates Israel, hates them, and they're Jewish people that run the New York Times.
So, a lot to dive into there. I mean, that's like 4 or 5
The only reason,
what?
The only reason evangelicals care about Israel is they want the apocalypse to happen.
Because they want the apocalypse to happen, exactly. That's crazy what he's saying. Oh my God. Hand in mouth. I want to put my hand in the man's mouth. I still no. While I do not like the Netanyahu administration and what Netanyahu has done and what that camp has done, I am a two-state solution Jew. A lot of American Jews are, man. We're kind of liberal in that regard when it comes to our motherland. We would rather it be free for everybody, I think. And to misconstrue that as we don't care about Israel, we don't care about a walled the fuck up conservative Israel, okay? I don't want it to be something that excludes the rest of the fucking world. I want my motherland to be one that everybody can feel safe in, okay? And I also acknowledge the fact that my motherland is one that we acquired through conquest, all right? And I don't think repeating a conquest is the right way to go about taking that land back. I don't care if God told us we belong there. I don't care if the leader of a reformed religion told us we should be there. I don't care if the leader of a military told us we should be there. I don't think conquest to reclaim anything is a good move. It definitely hurts us in the long run. But to misconstrue my opinion as we don't care about Israel, because the opinion I just espoused is held by a lot of on the ground American Jews, and that's what he's misconstruing. Fuck that guy for saying that. That is disgusting in my opinion. He never had my vote to begin with if he does run again. But fuck Donald Trump. Piss on that, dude. I can't believe he said that. And let's see. Oh, sorry. What was that? I got somebody off?
No, I just bumped the button.
Oh, word. I do that all the time. I'll also hit my head on the mic. But I am... Ooh, I can't. I can't with that man. He's pissy that, again, the on the ground... the actual Jewish population, the broke ass American Jews like me, the middle class to lower middle class majority of us, right? We didn't vote for the man, and he fucking hates that. He still hates that. He's like, I even moved the embassy to Jerusalem. It's not, dude. You lit a fire that ended up annexing more of Palestine, and we still don't like you. You did nothing but bad PR for everybody. And to misconstrue my opinion does not I still very much love that part of my heritage and my ancestry, and we still I'm still pro-Israel, but I'm a two-state solution Israeli. It doesn't need to be closed off. It needs to be an open, peaceful place for the world. It's more than one religion's holy site, and it needs to be respected with that kind of, that has that kind of importance and that many hearts. And I know a lot of people hold that opinion, and to misconstrue that as we don't support Israel is fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. I am definitely someone who, never again to me doesn't mean that we fucking build a dome around Israel and only Christians and Jews are allowed in it. It's every Abrahamic faith's holy site, and it needs to be respected as such. I've also made a promise to always take into account and protect the interests of people who want to take a pilgrimage there. And I'll always have your back. I don't care what religion you are. If that's your holy site and you want to take a pilgrimage there, I have your back. Know that. And that doesn't mean I don't agree with Israel. If you're a Muslim and you want to go there and I support you, that doesn't mean I'm anti the state. I'm against the state of Israel. I still love my home. So, fuck Donald Trump. What up, Special? How you feeling?
I hate to jump in. I don't quite have my voice yet this morning, but
hey, you're in good company.
Cat decided to censor something that I posted about what you were just talking about, which is what he's doing. And I just, as soon as I saw that, I started looking online. What he's doing is he's pushing a wedge between conservative Jewish people and liberal Jewish people in the U.S.
Yes.
If you look online, you see immediate chatter about that. And if you like, I'm going to hop off after this, but if you want to, I think if you and everybody else want to understand what I'm afraid the goal on this is, you should look up the wiki on a guy named Dan Burrows, Burros.
Burros.
Here, hold on. Let me check on my side real quick.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not misspelling it from memory.
But man,
yeah,
no, it's
Burros.
It's the same tactic he employed on the Nation itself, which is hyper politicize the faction he's criticizing to the point they either fucking double down voting for him and fund him, or they fucking are violently against him, and now he's made a villain for them to fight against and waste their breath fighting.
Yeah.
It's
divide and conquer.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out Dan Burrows for real.
Oh, word. Yeah, I'll check out
I'm going to hop off and go back to my coffee.
Oh, word. Right on. You enjoy that, my man. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, Dan Burrows. I'll check that out for sure. Again, that got me heated. I'm going to grab a puff real quick. If you got some, smoke some. I got to calm down a little bit after that. I clipped a little bit of that for a rant. So you guys will probably see this on TikTok. We're going to start doing that more now too. Saturday announcements. Big special Saturday announcements. What's up? What's good? All right, we'll play this.
A new record, perhaps. Let's look at Trump's first claim, John. A Pew survey earlier this year found that 58% of Jews in America are very or somewhat emotionally attached to Israel. 60% say that they have a lot or something in common with Israeli Jews. So to say that American Jews don't like or love Israel, that's inaccurate just as a factual matter.
Hella inaccurate.
Yeah, look, I mean, Jake, these comments, unfortunately, are not very surprising from former President Trump, but they fall somewhere between stunning and stupid. Now, I expect this from people on the extreme right or the far left, but you would think a former president of the United States with Jewish grandchildren would get stuff like this right. And what are we talking about? Look, the bottom line is Jews, he is not the one to tell Jewish people about their feelings for Israel, but there is widespread, overwhelming positive feelings among the Jewish community for the Jewish state. And that's just the start, as you pointed out, of what he said. Tropes about greed, power, loyalty.
Oh, word. That's interesting, San.
Like literally,
you do that at Xmas. So you like Jews for Jesus, if you pardon the term, if that's offensive, but that's you believe in the Messiah? You have Yeshua. You believe that he's your Messiah
over Congress or absolute power over Congress. That's the kind of anti-Semitism you hear from like members of the Klan.
That's right. I mean, this sounds like Richard Spencer, or this sounds like some of the most radical people on the left, or Lyndon LaRouche, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. Israel doesn't have absolute power over anything, even its own electorate, for goodness sakes. But this plays into these long-standing tropes, Jake, that have led to Jewish people being harassed, suffering from violence, and literally being killed. So it's not something we can take lightly, especially when it's coming from a former commander-in-chief. It's really quite disturbing.
Trump claimed that evangelical Christians love Israel more than Jewish Americans. This is a complicated issue. Obviously, a lot of evangelical Christians are supportive of Israel. There's a theological reason behind a lot of that. What's he talking about here?
Well, look, it's certainly true that there are many people of the Christian faith, evangelicals, Catholics, other denominations within Protestantism, the Church of Latter-day Saints, that feel very strongly about the Jewish state of Israel. That could be for biblical reasons or political reasons or personal reasons. But to say that this group loves Israel more than that group, like that's the kind of analysis we don't really need, because at the bottom line, Jake, it's anti-Semitism to play into these tropes and these myths about who feels more strongly about the Jewish state helps no one, particularly the Jewish people.
Yeah, I mean, also it's not a contest, right? I mean, he seems to be judging, the way he seems to look at this is like support for Israel is measured by how much people voted for me, for Donald Trump. Evangelical Christians overwhelmingly voted for me, therefore they love Israel. more than Jewish Americans who disproportionately.
Oh yeah, special guys. I've also never heard anybody offended by that term, but I'm just trying to not generalize as bad as I did, I guess.
Because that's what seems to be the measure that he uses to determine someone's values.
Did you do foot washing?
Or in this case, someone's Zionism.
I never did foot washing.
None of it works. And
I mean, I wash my feet.
Time and again, whether it's people who belong
I do pray while I do it.
Organizations or extremist movements employ the same kind of myths, Jake, and use it
in the
to
shower,
justify the marginalization and the persecution of Jewish people, and it's flat out wrong.
And then, of course, he went after the New York Times, claiming the newspaper hates Israel and it's run by Jews. Obviously, he goes on to say he's talking about the Sulzberger families who have run the paper for decades. But still, to say that the New York Times is run, he goes, Jewish people run the New York Times.
I mean, again, like this plays into this trope about Jews controlling the media, and we also know the myths of Jews controlling Hollywood, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, you name it. Anti-Semitism is a conspiracy theory, and it adapts and it morphs and it shapes to the times.
Word special. That makes sense, actually. A lot more ritual focused.
Pushing out the prejudice. That's what we have. The bottom line.
Which is an interesting conversation to bring up to someone who's maybe a practicing Nazarene Jew. It sounds like, they have a lot of interesting rituals going on. Like they participate in like the feet washing and stuff, which, again, I have a version of that. But I'm trying to prepare myself in my mind and the entirety of my being to be ready to process all that's in the Zohar, right, when I get to the right age. So, like when I wake up, I do a little prayer to myself, just in my head. Blessed are thy feet that they may walk the path. I pop my ankles, I put my feet on the ground, and I get going. I get going with my day. I start my day with a little prayer. I do a lot of feet-centric prayers now that you mention it. When I wash my feet, I do a similar thing, Blessed are thy feet that they may walk the path, man. They're very important. That's how you get around. The really cool visual in the cartoon on Netflix, Midnight Gospel, has this kind of reoccurring theme through each episode where the main character, Clancy, gets a new pair of shoes. And it's kind of this form of his, it's kind of this... not only is he putting it to represent that he's put himself in other people's shoes and grown as a person, it's also a form of, blessed are thy feet that they may walk the path. It's a really cool thing to put in that show, I thought. Again, it's an adult cartoon, so if you happen to be a viewer of MURKradio and you're under the age of 18, number one, you lied to get here. It's for adults only. Much like this cartoon, it's for adults only. Check it out if you're like a Rick and Morty fan. Actually, if you're just into occultism in general, I think you should check out the Midnight Gospel. Watch it in its entirety. If you don't watch it in its entirety, you've done yourself a disservice. And if the end doesn't make you cry, you're more dead inside than me. And you see the types of bong rips I take. You should get checked out by a doctor. That was a gem of a movie. Yeah, it really was. It was a really good film. A really, really, really good film. Good show. It was a show, episodic. So, and it was pulled from archival podcast footage of Duncan Trussell. And Duncan Trussell, I've always enjoyed his time on podcasts. His podcast is his time as a guest on podcasts. Duncan Trussell is a genuine delight and somebody who I think should go down as like a Terrence McKenna type for the modern age. He's a modern occultist and has really spread, Sand says I cried. Yeah. When I went to Israel, I was spit on when I said I was Christian. Wasn't expecting that, says Sean Best. Yeah, no, there's anti-Christian sentiments there for sure. By the extremes of both sides, but I apologize that happened to you, Sean, by what sounds like my people. Much like America, and we talked about it yesterday, my generation grew up highly politicized at a very young age. And I think you see a similar thing happening there. And it's happening younger and younger It's, what used to be something that your parents wouldn't even talk about at the dinner table, politics, became playground fights when I was a kid over Bush and Gore. What the fuck does a 10-year-old care about Bush or Gore? And it's, you see that these kids of my generation grew up to be adults now, and we're highly politicized people. We are pulled to extremes by what I feel is a insidious conspiracy and attempted play on our language, as special guest would word it. That's one tactic among many, but a play on our language is a good one to kind of start with, because I feel like it's one of the most, yeah. Especially, this is why should a 10-year-old care about Bush or Gore? Yeah, exactly. So anyways, the separation of church and state is so important. I feel like it's a very beautiful theory, the separation of church and state, but as we see in the real world, it is almost inevitable that the two brush shoulders. And I think that you have, if you want to build a long-standing system, you have to build a system where the two work in tandem and they find an ecosystem in which they can both thrive. And I don't think there should be a separation. I think there should be a bold embracing of every theology, as opposed to what is defined as a separation. I think because we know for a fact that it does have a say. People's theological beliefs does turn into law. You see Texas going crazy with this abortion law. This comes from Christian fundamentalism. When is a person a person? And I think that to move forward and to worry, if you're to worry about the longevity of a political system, you want to incorporate the theology. But again, you're talking to somebody who said earlier in the stream he was, for argument's sake, a monarchist. So I am somebody who is maybe for maybe an Anglican Church of America. You can be any religion, but in the Church of America, it's free, like America the app, in this horrible capitalist nightmare I'm describing. Special guest says that's impossible to do when we specifically host theologies that are at deadly odds with each other, in my opinion. Well, this is the paradox that is governing Israel. Do you build a dome around Israel and not allow in the other religions? Or do you try to be the party that talks it out? And I understand that that's a dangerous thing to do, and it's a peacenik thing for me to say. And it is one of those positions where I kind of fall into the hippy-dippy liberal way of thinking. I do think, again, the Holy Land and, America with our separation of church and state, it should be more of a, again, open embracing of churches. If you do that, you might see a de-escalation in the importance of those establishments. You see, when you separate, you have now made something taboo and risque, and now this is a check a senator is getting under the table, which means that it will happen, as opposed to something that could happen through genuine democracy. And I think building avenues of corruption is something, this is something, again, that Alexander Hamilton would rant about a long time ago, the founding of the country. It's, I feel much the same way he did about it. That's probably why you'll hear me say some kind of strange liberal but monarchist on both sides of the fence statements on governance. Governance is complicated. Governance is paradoxical. Freedom is a tough thing to. How do you govern free people? How is that freedom? Special guest says #Aaron Burr did nothing wrong. That statement should end with Aaron Burr did nothing. Is #Aaron Burr's corpse 2024 for anybody out there who's not a history nerd or hasn't seen the play Hamilton. Aaron Burr shot Alexander Hamilton to death in a duel that Alexander Hamilton very much started. I like to think that one of my dear friends will an argument will escalate to the point I insist he shoot me. But he pulled some shit too. I feel like I would pull. I'm nothing but endeared to that character through history. It's said that he's fucking with his glasses, messing with the gun, you know? Like, definitely making it seem like to the motherfucker that he's going to shoot Aaron Burr after Alexander Hamilton is shot. Letters he had mailed off the night before the duel said that I assure you, I will shoot into the air and will if I die, I will die a man of honor, and I never intended to kill Aaron Burr in this duel. It's such a ridiculous thing that like it's such a weird way to smear somebody with your own death. Like I think Hamilton was suicidal. Special guest quotes Aaron Burr here in the chat. He says, "My friend Alexander Hamilton, who I shot." That is how Aaron Burr talked about his dear friend Alexander Hamilton. That's how he would preface stories about Hamilton. Aaron Burr tried to conquer. He's tried to be the emperor of Mexico. That dude was wild. U.S. we got some Jan 6th news. From 11 hours ago, U.S. Capitol rioter gets 5+ years in jail for assaulting police officers. Hoochie nooch. Did you see Tick Tick Boom? That sounds familiar, San Elliott. Who's is that a? It sounds familiar. What's Tick Tick Boom? It sounds familiar.
It seems like the federal judges
check this out
overseeing
real
these
quick.
cases are really clear and unanimous about what happened on January 6th. They do not see it as a tourist event, as one Republican member described it, do they?
They don't at all. And I mean, that's something that's been very clear, and we saw it today in court, is that, you know, regardless of whether or not people who are higher up who actually planned this day get charged, you're still responsible for your conduct. You know, important to keep emphasizing about this is just like how clear it is that these were Trump supporters. And
He got the off-brand AirPods. He got them AirPods.
People was charged, including with Robert Scott Palmer, after I was tipped off about him in March by one of these online sleuths who was looking into this case and found a video of him naming himself on camera shortly after he assaulted
Oh
officers.
shit.
It was a pretty easy case to.
Oh shit. Special guest is Netflix musical directed by Lin-Manuel. That's where I saw it. I saw the trailer for it. Andrew Garfield as the guy who made Rent. Yes, I did see the trailer for it. I haven't seen the film yet. You know, been busy. But I will check out Tick Tick Boom now that I have somebody who's suggested it. It sounds like it's probably really good. Did you guys like it? Special guest drops some Lin-Manuel Miranda trivia here for us. Immortal Technique was Lin-Manuel's high school bully and threw him in a trash can at least once. Yeah. Sanela says it's so good. I'll check it out. You know, I like a good musical. I like a good musical themed kind of biopic. I've said on the stream before, I think the film I can put on at any time of day and sit down and watch all of it is Ray. The Jamie Foxx Oscar award-winning Ray Charles biopic. That's like probably one of my favorite films. Special guest says, and Rent is, in my opinion, garbage. Not for the songs, but for the content, dog killing, etc. Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I kind of put off Tick Tick Boom, was I'm not the biggest fan of that guy's work musically, but it's Lin-Manuel ran, so let's see what we got. Special guest says, obviously I have no issues with the identities being empowered, but the gross way they demonstrate it. Yeah, Special, that's one thing that took me about Rent, kind of took me out of Rent, was, there is a separation between me and the lifestyles portrayed, which I thought maybe it was my own biases pulling me out of it, but then I heard other reviews that were like, it's some pretty hardcore content sometimes. I'm gonna press play on this. If you got them, burn them.
Get through and clear through my legal process because it was just so clear, and that's why I think this one has gone first today. But when I look at these Facebook pages afterwards, what I see is all of these indications.
Yeah,
of how,
special,
of
right?
why they did
That's
it,
how it
why they
felt,
supported
right?
Trump. It looks exactly how you would imagine their Facebook pages and their social media pages would look.
Seriously comes across like leftover cracks lyrics.
Posting all of these pro-Trump memes, posting about how the election was stolen, and because they actually believe that the election was stolen, this is what happened. This is what they did. They were the foot soldiers, and they're going to be punished, and ultimately might end up being held more accountable than the people who are really sort of the masterminds behind this.
Mm-hmm. You know, the rioter sentenced today, as I was talking to Rachel earlier, told the judge he saw his case featured on the Rachel Maddow show in jail. He said, quote, "Ma'am, I was horrified, absolutely devastated to see myself on there." I mean, right, do most of the attackers express remorse? And do they sound sincere when they say they're horrified in retrospect?
I think it's a real mix. For the people who assaulted officers and are really facing consequences, significant time behind bars, I think we have seen, whether it be legitimate or not, expressions of remorse. But with Robert Scott Palmer, I think it's difficult to say because he also, immediately after he pled guilty, posted or had a friend post this posting online to a fundraising website that completely mischaracterized the events of the day. I do think that, you know, some of the defendants, like another defendant, a young woman who was in college who entered the Capitol and was carrying around
It's Saturday, bitches get stoned.
Sentenced to a month behind bars today. I mean, her life has been pretty torn apart by this event. You know, she was a senior about to graduate.
Sometimes I'll take a big bong hit, and then I hit the dab pin, and it feels like ivory soap hitting my lungs. It inspires belief in me. I just wanted you guys to know that.
And now her, you know, she went back. Her parents are mad at her. She broke down. I mean, that was legitimate remorse. And if it wasn't, then, you know, she deserves an Oscar because it really seemed very compelling. She talked about how her life was torn apart. But there are a lot of
sand.
category to her who
Crazy.
Minor
Mountain climbing movies.
Misdemeanor
Dope.
pleas, who I don't think are really, I think that they're victims still, think that they are somehow getting the book thrown at them or saying, you know, what about a BLM protest or trying to raise other factors here, and really don't seem to be legitimately sorry for their actions.
No, none of the people involved in that riot are legitimately sorry for their actions. And I bet you judges are laughing their asses off, man. Laughing their asses off. Oosh, man. But we're 2 hours deep, gang. I'm going to take a quick break, use the restroom. I'm going to put on some chill beats, and I'll be right back, guys. Sam Elliott says he needs to get home and smoke. Boy, yeah, smoke wherever you are if it's legal. If you're, you know, I'm in a place where it's recreationally legal, so I can just go like smoke a blunt and get on the train on the sidewalk and shit. It's cool. It's really cool here. In terms of like legalization. So if you can do it, you know, again, warning, here at MURKradio's headquarters is in a place that it's recreationally legal, so I don't break the law when I smoke weed on camera. Anyway, be right back. Could you imagine if humans had attributes like cats? Like, if we just did weird stuff that cats do, like seemingly only cats do. Like, you know, when we're hungry, we walk circles around other people's feet and just show them our buttholes and scream. Wouldn't that be weird as hell? If you worked at a restaurant, somebody just walked around and was just like, ah, like with their butthole out. It's like what cats do. Cats
Wait, are supposed to do that?
I always wonder why that Waffle House had problems with me. Or, you know, cats that get an adrenaline rush after taking a shit. You know, like, I guess cats get an adrenaline rush after they take a shit and they haul ass. You know, like they'll take a poop in the litter box and
They're trying to run away from it.
Yeah. And it's, could you imagine?
They're afraid of what they've created.
Yeah. You just imagine if that's how humans were. Like, we just took off running after we took a poopies. You know, like we made some bears and then we just trucked it. Ah! Like, it'd be so bizarre. Some of these cults out here that are emulating animals, you know. St. Elias says, I gotta unload. Have a beautiful day. My favorite podcaster, mad respect to you. Great guy. Remind me of my brother-in-law. Big hit for you. Bye, good peeps. Hey, San, you have a good day, man. Hey, you have a good one. Thank you for stopping by this kind of special Saturday morning stream. I don't normally stream on Saturdays. It's the Sabbath, so I don't normally do this kind of thing. But I wasn't here all week, and I've missed everybody, and I've missed doing the early mornings when it came down to it, and you know, glad to be back in action. And I think I might have worked enough years of being forced to wake up early, and really when I sleep is when my body is exhausted and has to sleep, that's just how I am. And trying to build a sleep schedule is incredibly difficult. Keep in mind, I've had kids around most of my life, where I'm kind of taking care of a younger kid, and any moms out there will tell you, you just don't really sleep. You know, you just kind of sleep when you're exhausted, and you have to, and then you kind of wake up earlier than you need to. Special guest says, want to take a look at how the dog cults are related to China. I mean, look, Special, you just even saying that the dog cults, again, if you're a new viewer, when we say things like animal cults or dog cults, I implore you to please check out our series on this channel called The Tattered Map. It's live every Thursday, but it's an episodic continuing exploration of a very particular conspiracy and train of thought. And it's a really good series in my opinion, and Special Guest has put a tremendous amount of work into it in the back end, and it has its own playlist on the homepage of MURKradio. It's called The Tattered Map. And so it kind of has the rundown of what I mean when special guest and I say things like dog cult or cat cult. We mean something very specific by that. And if you want to find out more about that, check out The Tattered Map. You got to know this.
What episode are the animal cults in? Because I don't remember.
We might still be getting to it. It's a good time to plug.
I get
yeah, I think we start off in an early I think one of the first episodes, episode 0, and one of the addendums. I think we sidetrack into the Process Church, and I know in the last one we talk a bit about Maury Terry, his investigation into the Process Church, and you know they were forming these kind of stay behind groups. Again, if you listen to the show, you kind of know what I mean by stay behind group. And they were, some of these sects were doing things like killing German Shepherds. If you've watched Sons of Sam on Netflix, that's specifically the cults we're talking about when we say dog cult. It was specific,
okay, I get
yes, specifically what turned into Best Friends Animal Shelter was members of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. So, special guest says, in fact, I think the dog cult wars are a proxy war between NATO intel and CCP intel. Oh, interesting. And oddly enough, here the Nazis are working with CCP because they play both sides. Whoa. Justin, look up Cersei Order of Dog Blood on Irrational Geographic. Oh shit, special. Okay, so yeah, Justin, he says check out the Cersei.
You'll have to send the link, or at least send the name in Discord, because I'm in a place where I can't write anything down.
Oh, word, yeah, special. If you don't mind, throw that in a link in Discord. Look who's here. Wait. Oh, maybe she don't want to be seen.
Can I join?
Yeah, please.
Is that okay?
Yes. Good morning. Do you need some coffee? It's the Saturday morning coffee talk.
Good morning.
Do you need coffee?
Hello. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a drink. I have tea in the fridge.
Oh heck yeah! I'm kicking over to this screen so we can both be on and
yay.
Can also see who's
cool.
who's talking.
I'm still setting up a little bit. I literally just got out of bed, but
we can pull up relevant news. Yeah. You were probably sleeping through me being upset about some shit Trump said. The man's not even president anymore, still manages to say something that sets me off.
oh my god, I just read actually that there's something going around about Kanye West, somebody from his team convinced one of the election people in Georgia to basically say that the election was rigged for Trump.
Whoa.
Yeah. I literally
from a
just
Kanye West tip?
Yeah.
What?
I forgot where I just saw that, but I was like, what? Hi, Christy.
That's crazy. Special guest says he'll drop in Discord. Yeah, baby, come on in. China being related to dog cults, man. There's this unfortunate trope, in my opinion, and this is relevant to some hometown news from where I'm from, but there was a local restaurant owner where I'm from who was hella racist at a Korean restaurant that had opened up near him, and was implying that there was animal meat in the dish he was eating, which, as we all know, hella racist, untrue, but a common joke amongst older Anglicans. I've heard it. And it's just, it would be weird if there's some kind of dog sacrificial proof from China. Maybe that's where some of that heat comes from, is bred from, it's telephoned down from these inner occult circles or something. I'm always interested in the potentiality and conspiracies built off of that type of potentiality, where it's like, nah, we think it's this way, but it's like this common phrase is because the elites did this or that, and it got telephoned down. I love that kind of shit. But it's been a very interesting morning. Again, you guys have thoroughly reinforced me to start the 7 a.m. streams again. I think it works the best.
headbands on. I gotta put my hair out of my wig.
Hey, you're fine. We're at the Wake and Bake section of the show for Lux.
Yeah, I'm kind of, that's what I'm doing right now.
But man, let's see.
Oh, goodness.
It's from 2 hours ago. Senate could delay the vote on Biden's Build Back Better. Building back better with no stimulus checks, but building your back up, blowing your back out better. better back blown.
I love how he said that looking at me.
The better big the big bring back plan. Jake Tapper 5 hours ago on CNN on YouTube brought us this statement from Trump that honestly you gots to hear, but you're gonna hear it anyway because I clipped it and I'm gonna be posting it everywhere. My response, because I was upset.
Should we get the splitter?
Yeah. Damn straight we should get the splitter. Yeah, grab some headphones you likes.
I'll just take my OGs.
The OGs. Where's the
Here's the splitter.
Oh shit. She's ready. Shout out special guest for hooking it up with the splitters.
Oh yeah, for real.
These are like gold coin. This is, we were talking, here you go, plug it in. Yeah, I'm just holding it. Yeah. I have no clue if that worked or not. But hopefully you get some monitoring.
I get it now.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Let's check out this Russia story.
Russia is laying out demands for scaling back its military presence near the Ukraine.
We talked about this a little bit earlier because it came up organically in the chat. Mm-hmm. Russia and Ukraine and just the geopolitical world. Mm-hmm. So let's check this out. It's from CBSN. We also talked about a little bit Disney Plus.
What about it?
They pulled 12 channels, or not Disney Plus, excuse me, YouTube TV.
Oh, YouTube,
pulled 12 Disney channels off of YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Right after people paid their subscriptions for the month, which is horrible.
That is fucked up.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
So I know there's people that pay that just to get the sports on their phone.
Yeah.
You know? I sound so old when to get the sports on their phone.
The sports ball.
They try to see people touching downs and whatever.
Border. The proposal includes not allowing
They're hella
Ukraine
mad
to
because
join
they can't
NATO.
sports ball.
It also asks U.S. to refrain from developing any military cooperation with former Soviet states that are not already in NATO. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said on Friday the administration has seen the proposal and is discussing next steps with European allies. The demands come as tensions rise in Eastern Europe. Ukraine officials are worried Russia is building up troops along its border in preparation for an attack. Moscow denies the claims and accuses Ukraine of the same. For more on this, we'd like to bring in CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis. Olivia, great to see you. It appears
to see you, Elise.
Hi. It appears that Russia is trying to use the threat of war to get compromises from NATO. And is Putin trying to reestablish Cold War era alignments?
Well, so Russia and more specifically President Vladimir Putin are doing exactly what they do best and have a history of doing, which is playing geopolitical chess. The document that they published today lays out the sprawling and you could say very much brazen set of demands that, yes, would catapult us back.
He looks like he just ate so much cabbage.
Era. It's remarkable not only for what it contains, but because this is what should be closely held, closed-door diplomacy being flung out into the open by
He's
the
aged
Russians
like bread soaked in honey.
What we do in response. So as you mentioned, among their demands are that the Ukrainians are never allowed to join NATO and that NATO membership is not extended to any other former Soviet countries.
Not
establishing any military bases in any of those countries and stopping all NATO military activities and drills near Russia. All of those demands are already complete non-starters for NATO, which has already said so, and for the U.S., who say that the alliance's future is only going to be determined by NATO itself. So
these
We watched a
demands are,
dude
in
on
fact,
here
so
earlier with some
exorbitant that
like
a lot of
bootleg
analysts are
AirPods.
saying
He had some
that they're crafted
AirPods.
such that they fail, and that Moscow has
Yeah.
even
Have
more
those
pretext to
Raycons?
say, well,
No.
we tried, diplomacy
He didn't
didn't
have
work,
nothing. He didn't
so
have
we're going to
shit.
move ahead with our military
My
incursion
busted
into
ass
Ukraine.
using special guests
So there are several
JVCs.
NATO members or allies that border Russia or its
I'm not any
sphere
better.
of influence.
I'll use
How would
anything.
you say that how would they be affected by these Russian demands?
Sure. Well, the U.S. and NATO are both insisting that no member of this alliance or any other partners in Europe that are going to be affected by these discussions are going to be excluded from the table. That very crucially includes Ukraine. A senior State Department official said today, made expressly clear that no talks on European security are going to take place without European allies and partners participating. And again, the chances that
There's a
Russia is
short
going to get a
in one of
written
the
guarantee
things in the
that
splitting
NATO
you heard
is,
it too?
Yeah,
not
it
going
was
to
a splitting
expand is
thing.
pretty much nil.
Yeah.
And in fact, both President Biden and NATO have said that if Russia does proceed with this military incursion into Ukraine, there's a significant chance that more troops are going to be moved into border countries like Poland, like Latvia, like Lithuania, right on Russia's border. So in addition, that's of course in addition
You're not
to
going to
crushing
throw out
sanctions that the
Slovenia?
US and the
You're not going to
Europeans
throw
have
out
been
our
drafting together in the event that
Uzbekis,
Russia does
dude?
make a move.
You're not going to throw out our...
The Biden administration says it's discussing parts of Russia's proposal with European allies.
My
What are they
review of
looking
her coverage of
The
this
document that the Russians published
is 3 out of 10 pieces of baklava. Just if we had to rate it out of like pieces of baklava, since we're talking about European shit. Look, I like a baklava, dude. I like the ooh. Give me that syrupy walnut bread. Give me the flaky. Give me that. She gets 3 pieces out of 10.
today detailed demands related to other
Yeah.
things
And
like
that's for the
conventional
AirPod.
arms control
Yeah.
and nuclear arms control.
Special guest says 1, this is Finlandization. 2, Slovenia is controlled by Nazi occultists.
Today, so that the U.S. is looking at how
Word.
to do that. How to
Word.
talks in a way that the right countries are at the table discussing the right issues. Interestingly, this official said that the U.S. and other countries are particularly interested in a immediate Christmas ceasefire and in a possible prisoner exchange, and that those things are under active discussion. It sounds like the U.S. and its partners is going to get back concretely on the Russian proposal sometime next week.
So is Russia willing to make compromises, and what kind of agreement would they be willing to settle on?
Sure. I think the only person who knows the exact answer to this question is Vladimir Putin. It's possible, again, that the documents that they've put out today are an opening offer to initiate some kind of diplomatic talks, but they could be this
Super
flimsy
quick.
throwaway promise that diplomacy failed and Moscow now gets to move in militarily. We'll know for sure once the U.S. does get back to Russia and make its move on the chessboard. What is for sure is that the situation is still at a rolling boil. The Russians have not backed down militarily.
It's at a rolling boil.
They have escalated their rhetoric. And that's all despite the really intensive diplomacy that the U.S. has engaged in thus far. So, in other words, and in short, they're not backing down yet.
Olivia Gazis, thank you.
Okay. Well then. That happened. White House asked point blank if Biden will run, and if so, yeah. Okay, so apparently Biden-Harris is going to happen again in 2024. Just catch you up, Lux.
I thought Kamala said they haven't discussed that yet.
Biden went rogue with it.
Oh, well,
But
I think it was released yesterday that she said they haven't discussed that yet. But maybe that was different.
Who's the puppet comedian with the puppets?
Jeff Dunham?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Biden might just be a Jeff Dunham puppet.
He's just a marionette.
I think he might just be
Ventriloquist.
Yeah,
That's right.
there's just a ventriloquist with his hand up his booty, up the booty hole. Man, I'm gonna put on another 2-minute video while I grab a puff of this. School's on high alert over TikTok threats. Again, I haven't seen anything show up on my TikTok thing. I've been watching TikTok, but again, I'm a 30-year-old man. When I got the TikTok, I must have clicked like on some titty talk videos, because most of TikTok for me is girls jiggling around. So let's just see what we got going on here.
Well, school districts across the country were on alert today, some even canceling classes in response to vague threats of violence posted on social media. As CBS's Jeff Begays reports, police tracked down some of the threats and were quick to make arrests.
In South Florida today, 3 students ages 13 to 15 arrested for allegedly making violent threats on social media.
If you think you're going to post a threat, fake or real, I can promise you, you're not only going to get out of school, because you will, but you're going to jail.
Whew.
He's dropping diss. That guy's dropping diss videos like Ghostface. You think you're gonna get out of school? You're not. You're gonna be an in-school suspension, ISS. You think that's cool? You think sharpening your pencil 8-9 times?
I just got it back. I don't know.
Hold up.
It's got to be something.
I got a solutions. Boom. Is that better or worse?
I'm sure it'll be better. I can still hear.
Okay, good. Well,
Sorry.
that cop was dropping Ghostface diss videos at students.
Yeah.
That's bold. His ass gonna get jumped by some straight hood rat 12-year-olds smoking cigarettes.
And he was a 12-year-old
Menthols.
once laughing at those cops talking about.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna call no fucking. I'm gonna call 911 when I get home on my landline and hang up.
Yeah, they'd be like, yeah. No, he emboldened kids to
Yeah.
do things they probably weren't gonna do.
Yeah.
Way to go, Officer whatever, Officer Ghostface, Officer
Ghostface.
Officer having beefs,
What he might do. There was an increased police presence
Officer
at schools
99 problems,
nationwide
and all of
after
them
a
are 12 years
vague,
old.
Unverified TikTok challenge went viral, encouraging students to call in threats.
There were just a bunch of threats, like all over the place.
Law enforcement does not believe the threats are credible.
Y'all felt like that was a
Still, at
fucking
least
important statement.
Y'all are upsetting Tiffany. She's a whole year out from getting those braces off, and she is not gonna miss that Sweet 16.
Yep.
Okay, y'all got her freaking out. Y'all got Tiffany tripping back here, or whatever her name was, with the braces. She's upset. She's mad. She's scared. She's out here. She is somehow a part of what has to be the popular crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, she looks like she's part of that crowd.
Yeah.
The popular crowd.
She got the mask down, but she right here.
Over the place. That's how they talk to each
She
other
real
in
close.
the popular crowd.
She's real close
Like,
to at
all
least
over
getting
the
that
place.
bottom row off and
Yeah.
free of those braces, and she's not about to have some bullshit bombing
the threats
or
are
shooting.
credible. Still, at least
Kill her
176
ass.
schools
Yeah.
across 18 states closed out of an abundance of caution.
America's education system is under attack right now. We are under attack by a social media.
Look, I respect her calic. I respect the hairline. Don't look. Maybe me and this lady are probably related, okay? But boy, she got some Manson lamps. Boy, those eyes are all over the place. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I immediately, I just assume that whatever she's talking about because of her shoulder pads is not as bad as what she's saying, and that's a bias on my end. You know.
Platform that will not intervene when it is necessary.
TikTok said it searched the platform but didn't find any threats, just this rumor of violence and warnings to be careful.
There is a threat. Stay safe, everyone.
The school closures and arrests come almost 3 weeks after 4 students were killed at a Michigan high school where warning signs from the shooter were overlooked. Experts say any social media threat
While
should be
negligent
taken seriously.
parenting was just
You have to act
overlooked.
like it's credible.
Every threat is real.
That's
until
what's
we
bothering the
disprove it.
fuck out of
Wait
me
today,
with
please,
all of
sec-
all of this coverage about the school shit. Nobody's talking about the parents. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that they're responsible as far as like, you know, because a lot of the situations is they really had no idea. Specifically, I'm talking about instances like this where they know their kids are online.
Yeah.
And they know that I can't even imagine what it would be like to not know that my child is being faced with threats online.
Yeah. Yeah.
It drives me crazy how it's so easy to be anonymous as a kid on the internet. Or even, not even anonymous, just to be on the internet as a kid.
Yeah.
With everything that happens.
Yeah. Having to deal with
I just woke up.
oh, you're good. Having to deal with the social media in a school infrastructure, I couldn't imagine. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily so bad. When I was a kid, it was all about hawking your music on MySpace. What's up, Justin? You know what I'm talking about. You remember that shit back in the Zynga MySpace days, dude. It's just all about getting people to listen to your music. Was really my goal with social media back then. And it still is. Link in description. But yeah, that's the fact that it's TikTok now and there's a weird, I guess, trending trend going on, and that's wild. Oh, in the realm of things that I had to cough out because I'm probably not supposed to cover them on the show. Somehow the feed must have been hacked into or something, but some of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial updates happened. So we saw that. Yeah, it's, again, it seems like she'll probably get off. You know what this bitch said in court? You know what this bitch said?
What?
She said, "I don't feel I need to take the stand because the prosecution has not done their job in providing reasonable, like, no reasonable doubt that I'm guilty of this. Like, it's obvious I'm innocent or whatever." Like, it feels like a rigged trial shit.
Wow.
Yeah, like she said some drop the mic shit, and
I wasn't necessarily comfortable with the way that trial went down.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be disappointing.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. The no TVs, this should be, if they actually care about,
They're like going out of their way to not let that get out in certain ways. So like through streamers and shit.
Yeah. All right, let's see if I can find just the fucking clip now that you got headphones on. You want to hear me get mad? I've already gone on this rant, so I won't go on the rant again because I also clipped the rant. You're going to hear it, but
there's people in this country that are Jewish no longer love Israel. I'll tell you, the evangelical Christians love Israel more than the Jews in this country. It used to be that Israel had absolute power over Congress, and today I think it's the exact opposite.
He says kicked Obama back in his weird Phoenician palace.
And yet in the election, they still get a lot of votes from Jewish people, which tells you that the Jewish people, and I've said this for a long time, the Jewish people in the United States either don't like Israel or don't care about Israel. I mean, you look at the New York Times. The New York Times hates Israel, hates them. And they're Jewish people that run the New York Times. I mean, the Sulzberger family.
The fuck, you are tripping, dude. You are tripping, dude. He has lost his shit.
Why?
Again, hand in mouth. In the section of people whose mouth is going to get my hand in it one day. There you go.
So I know we haven't done it yet, but you know how I was talking about Doc Antle the other day and how creepy he fucking is about how careful he is on the camera?
Yes.
Trump is the opposite. And it's just as creepy.
It seems like his tactic.
Because he panders every time he's on fucking camera. He will pander to whoever he's talking to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who the fuck he's talking to. He will pander as hard as he fucking can. Opposite side of the spectrum from Doc Antle, just as creepy.
Man, I'm really glad Senator Perry is back in play in this Jan 6 conspiracy stuff. Sorry to derail. I do want to rant about Doc Antle, though.
No, that's going to be a rant later for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually about the January 6th shit too, did you hear that, who is it? Jay Johnston was banned from Bob's Burgers because there's a photo of him over there. Like he went, yeah, they banned him. Ooh. Like it honestly, it looks like him in a mask at the fucking insurrection.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, he was a voice actor, and now they're like, nah, fuck you, you're not coming back.
Not doing it.
No, he's like, they were like, you're fucking banned.
Whoa.
Yeah. Trump uses the Mussolini method.
Yeah, he does. It's a gross form. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these 70s pedophiles being called out as exactly Tripper. Hey, welcome back, Tripper. It's good to see you.
Chris Noth.
It's
Chris Noth right after he was killed off of the fucking Sex and the City sequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
My Peloton.
by a Peloton bike. Killed him with a Peloton. This we're not sponsored by Peloton because it kills people. Because it killed Mr. Big. We're not an ad for Peloton. In fact, the opposite. This is a warning. But I actually wanted your opinions on Mr. Perry here. Mm-hmm. He ran for president. Which is impressive that an actual person whose brain was replaced with a rock could make it to running for president.
That's what I was talking about last night when we were talking about the elections when I was a kid.
He's responsible.
Bush and Perry.
Yeah, well, he's responsible for that massive toll road through Texas.
Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I've just always wondered your opinion. You know, again, not to give too much away. You're Texas royalty. So.
Wait, what massive toll road? There's a million massive toll roads.
The 85 mile an hour one. The newest 85 mile an hour one.
Oh, okay.
It's all privately owned. Those tolls, like you're paying a private company. It's weird as fuck. It's weird.
Yep.
It's interesting they have it set up that way. I don't know if I like it that way, but you know. Dude's an interesting cat.
It's a big old gray patch that you put on your window.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been caught doing a whole bunch of shit. He's about think George W. Bush at the peak of him verbally flubbing and then aim lower. You know, and then aim lower. Uh-huh. Think, Dan Quayle misspelling potato, aim lower. Aim even lower than that. He's not even going to give himself the opportunity to write in front of people. He's just going to misspeak points on his PowerPoint that are on his PowerPoint. He's that bad.
He's not actually doing the research.
Yeah. Special guest, yes, Tripper. You should be checking. Yeah, if you haven't checked out the Tattered Map, you should check those out. And to let you know, Tripper, if you didn't see the top of the show, we're going back to 7 a.m. This is a surprise Saturday morning stream, but, we're going back to 7 a.m. And, yeah. Let's see, Russia demand. Yeah, more on the Russia and Ukraine nonsense, but... Looks like we've, I guess, caught up for the week. Again, I was gone all week, so I didn't even really pay attention to the news. Mm-hmm. Really just listened to music and healed. Got to healing. It's been nice.
Good.
Just some of these,
I'm grossed out by how soon they ended that trial.
It's really gross. It's really, 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 really gross. Let's see. Former police officer testifies in high-stakes trial. Here's just a 2-minute recap. We didn't get to, we've been covering the Kim Potter trial, and we watched a recap, and it kind of started a conversation.
She testified too?
But she testified, and we kind of soft covered it, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I thought maybe we could put some of this on.
Former police officer Kim Potter taking the stand in her own defense
and just catch up, maybe touch back on it.
Shooting death of Dante Wright during a traffic stop. Here's ABC's Faith Abube.
All right,
well, this could be the segment where we catch Lux up.
Overnight,
yeah.
Wright's family
because I've probably been busy.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, she definitely has been. She's been queening it up. Big boss shit.
For the first time, publicly explaining that she made a deadly mistake during a traffic stop.
When has that ever been
shot and killed
legal?
This morning, she's been. The water bottle has been in play.
Taser, and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
The veteran police officer telling the jury she meant to draw her taser, not her gun.
The taser is yellow, right? Yes.
She's a law enforcement officer who was on the force for 26 years, yet she couldn't differentiate the difference between her taser and her firearm.
Potter and a rookie police officer she was training stopped Wright's vehicle on April 11th for an expired tag and an air freshener hanging from the young father's rearview mirror. a violation under
expired
Minnesota law.
tag.
The traffic stop turned chaotic when the officers tried to arrest Wright for an outstanding warrant for a weapons violation.
I shot him! Oh my God! You never saw a weapon on Mr. Wright, did you?
No.
Wright's family attorneys telling ABC News Potter's testimony further confirmed, quote, Dante Wright's killing at Potter's hands was absolutely preventable. The prosecution painting the 49-year-old as negligent and reckless, zeroing in on this moment, caught on police dash cam right after the shooting.
You didn't run down the street and try to save Dante Wright's life, did you? No. You were focused on what you had done, because you had just killed somebody. Right?
I'm sorry it happened.
Both the defense and the prosecution have rested their case. We're expecting closing arguments on Monday, meaning the jury could start deliberating Potter's fate as soon as next week.
Oh, dang straight, Tripper. Yeah, you're going to like the tattered map after following the Maxwell trial.
Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live.
Special guest also during the tattered map. Sorry to kind of touch on what's going on in the text chat, but Lux, I'm going to come back to Kim Potter, but the tattered map special guest is doing a really good job at attaching sometimes the relevant things from the Ghislaine Maxwell trial to what we're talking about in that show. But I want to know your opinion on Kim Potter's emotional state here. I want your opinion. Do you believe her testimony? Did hearing that from her make you feel like it was an accident any more than you had felt before?
It was an accident.
Gotcha.
What I'm respecting the fuck out of with this trial is that they are focusing on the accountability of the officer.
Yes.
They are not focusing on her crying on the stand.
No.
And that's what we were missing out of the Rittenhouse thing, I feel like. Was the
smear campaigns on every other
sense of
character involved.
Accountability for the actions of the person that was there at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty impressed with her. Was that the prosecutor?
Yes.
Okay. I was just in that little bit. I was pretty impressed with how the prosecutor herself fully acknowledged that she was being emotional, and she, like, you know, you can tell, yeah, she fucked up, and she can tell that she fucked up.
Yeah.
But she's also focusing on the fact that nothing that happened was part of protocol.
Yeah.
At all. So even after the fact, there's full recording of her not even trying to save his life.
Yeah.
None of those cops.
She just walked away crying and kind of collapsed into
Which now is fine for her if that's really how she reacts in that kind of, and like, you know, I get the feeling if you accidentally kill someone like that, you probably are fucked up and you probably are not able to fucking continue at that point. It sucks that she wasn't able to be in the right state of mind to try to save his life, but nobody else there saved his life either.
Yeah.
There were 2 other cops with her in that video.
Yeah.
And neither of them checked on him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there were more cops that were checking on him, but it doesn't seem like there were. So they literally were so focused on trying to make sure that she was okay and making sure she felt okay with her decision or her split second whatever that she did to not grab this bright yellow piece on the left side of her. But
it's not necessarily about, again,
I am
like
appreciating just what I've seen so far. How even is this ABC?
Yes, this has been ABC News.
I did like how, first of all, I noticed that a lot of the girls in that video, like the reporters, were all black females, and that just makes my heart happy.
Yes.
But also the fact that these black females were also holding another female accountable also makes my heart happy.
Yes.
So for them to be able to talk about it,
heard. Tell them, Lux. Yes, get them
and discuss it as black females.
Yes.
And they didn't even really go into like the race part of it either.
No.
Which was not part of it at all.
No.
In this case.
I don't. If we're going to assume that Kim Potter is not racist, then it doesn't, and it shouldn't be brought up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like this, I like that the focus is not necessarily on race this time. It's about accountability because it was a fucking accident.
Yes.
And you can hear it. I've heard it before in the previous recordings where she does think she's got her taser. It's just fucked up that she thought she had her taser.
Yeah.
And that's what they're holding her accountable for.
Yeah, as you
and I
should
really
really,
hope that the jury focuses on that fact. She needs to be held accountable for this mistake. She was on the force for 26 years.
Yeah.
She's a very seasoned cop.
Yes.
And you shouldn't be making mistakes like that when it comes to somebody's life.
Yeah.
Especially for a traffic stop.
Yeah.
When you're telling me that it's just an expired tag in the fucking tree.
Exactly.
Like, I
It's a fucking air freshener. Like, as an air freshener.
yeah.
I think it was an expired tag.
Mhm.
He had a warrant, is what it turned out to be. But again, the initial reason for the stop was for an air freshener in the rearview mirror.
Mhm.
Like, it's a nonsense reason to stop somebody. And to answer special guest in the chat, no, but I wrote it down on my notes, so I will after the stream today. Soft booting this new schedule, and it's great.
Good.
Really liking it. I think I like getting up in the morning to do it. I think I stay on top of the news cycle, and it's where we build the audience. So,
Yep.
It's working out.
We've been really taking the past week or so for him to recover, but also we've been really thinking about how we want to start things next year and kind of see, like, hit the ground running what we can do with the new year.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got, the plans that he's already talked about, and I'm sure there's going to be more.
Yeah. Maybe surprises, secret technologies that Merck Corporate is developing and sending over from their hot and spicy R&D department. Probably get in trouble for saying that. That's a redacted statement. I didn't say that. That didn't happen. But yeah, it's a very interesting take on it. I feel the same way about this case, by the way, about this trial. And like I said, I feel like situations like this need to be tried like this more often. They need to be covered like this more often. I think this is actually us maybe watching, hopefully, the evolution of our beautiful American experiment develop into something more modern and less weird witch hunty and racist and character driven. Like the character driven trials where it's like, this is nothing but character assassinations. It's like, that works great for defense, but a good defense attorney can be stronger than tearing down the prosecute, like the character of everybody around the person they're defending. It's, you don't have to do that. You don't have to be like that. And in this, you're seeing some pretty strong legal flexing here because they can't be like that. And then when they are like that, the audience doesn't like it. See, there is a way to fix things like this, I think. And there is going to be positives that come out of all of the negativity of the last, 6 years now?
I will say, I do feel for her because she's sitting there on the stand, and you can tell, she knows she fucked up.
Yeah,
and she's very remorseful about it, and it was not supposed to go down like that. That is not what she intended. And
you can tell,
you can tell that that's how she feels.
I
feel for
I feel
her.
that way. I mean, I believe her
Yeah.
when she seems like she didn't genuinely.
But
believe it.
I'm appreciating the way that they're able to still acknowledge the fact that it's a mistake that needs to be that you need to be held accountable for. You can cry on the stand and be sad about it, but we're still trying you for it.
Yeah. But yeah, no,
it's huge. It's a life. It's another person's life.
Yes, special guest, the history of character assassinations, you can actually trace all the way back to, British court and colonial courts, where it comes down to smearing character, and is a very human way to go about something, but in my opinion, it's really weak. It's a really weak tactic to smear someone's character, smear someone's actions, smear someone's inability, smear someone's lack of, production. Don't don't smear somebody for, you know, doing their best to eat when they're hungry by the means they've been given by the universe. In particular, yeah, specifically methodologies they currently use and why they do it. No, specifically the way they mess with people, the way they use statistics to analytically build a way to assassinate a character in front of a jury.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking gross. Let's see if there's any updates here. Do you want to hear her statement? Let's see if it just happens to pop back on. I don't. Oh no, who said that word? How did this happen? I can't believe who's covering this on this channel.
Maxwell pleaded not guilty to 8 counts of sex trafficking and other crimes.
I'm so trying to fix this.
For the conduct of her late ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein, who killed himself in 2019 in a Manhattan jail cell while awaiting trial on sex crimes charges. Standing up in a New York
Don't ban me, YouTube.
Maxwell told the judge, quote,
"The
government has not proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt, and so there is no need for me to testify. Defendants in U.S. criminal trials are not required to testify, and often do not.
I like that one. Can we get that one and frame it?
In 2 days of testimony from former employees of Epstein's, a psychologist specializing in memory, and another ex-girlfriend of the late financier, the defense sought to undercut the testimony of 4 women who have accused Maxwell of setting them up for sexual abuse by Epstein when they were teenagers.
Yeah.
Maxwell's defense sought to portray her accusers as not credible.
She looks so disinterested in this drawing.
Jesus.
And 2004,
I remember
and they
that.
were motivated by the prospect of a payout from.
Oh, did you hear that
Epstein's victims?
Her team actually had their own sketch artist brought in?
Because they were tired of this one doing her all snarky. They didn't
like the artist doing her wrong like that.
They are
she
doing
kept giving her
her
angry fucking looks and shit.
Yeah.
So they were like trying to give her sketches where she looks like graceful and her fucking eyebrows aren't furrowed all the time and shit.
Oh my god.
Because the sketch artist kept making her look evil.
I said that from day one, like, oh wow, this sketch artist is putting a lot of her own opinion of the woman in this work. It's like, say you don't like her without saying you don't like her. Yeah. This photo. Right here. This is how you say.
Right here.
This is how you say you don't like. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
This right here.
Yep.
Was the prompt tired old bag and mask? Like, oh no, I don't think so. I think it was Ghislaine Maxwell on trial, but
I've never seen her with that cut either. Like, she gave her a full-on Karen cut instead of that fucking pixie shit that she's usually got.
She really did, yeah.
I don't know what she looks like now, but if that's the cut that she's got right now,
yeah.
Maybe she does look a little bit more sinister.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. She's only drawing expressions where she's like cutting eyes at her or cutting eyes at the jury. Or like hunched over doing this. like the one time she chewed a nail, she's like, yeah, that's the one. Fuck these bees, I'm doing this. And like, you know, say you hate her without saying you hate her, you know, like there's a biased ass artist in this. So I kind of understand her PR team being like, we got to get a new artist in here. We gotta get a whole different art. We gotta get our own artist in here. We gotta run some counter PR because they're doing our girl dirty.
Sorry, random thought because I just saw Pete Davidson's face. Did you know that he's doing a show with Miley?
What?
Yeah.
Like a TV show?
No, it's a New Year's Eve thing that they're doing together.
Oh, they're doing like a New Year's Rockin' Eve thing?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool because I feel like there's been no good New Year's Eve since Dick Clark had that stroke. And then they tried to bring him back post-stroke that one year and it was awkward. It was awkward. It was bad. It was distasteful. It was a bad production decision all around. No, look, we all love Dick Clark. We know he's an American treasure, okay? He did New Year's Rockin' Eve, a good show. At that point, all of my life. Okay? But we didn't need to see, like, what's functionally half of the corpse of Dick Clark strapped to the living half of Dick Clark hating doing New Year's Rockin' Eve. Let him go to bed.
Hating it.
Let him go to bed.
Hating it.
That was one of the worst things America has ever done. To one of our own. Like, we did that. It's so bad.
So funny.
Because YouTube won't let you use the word looks where I use the word seems there. Weird. Wild. I don't think I have any crazy filters on like that. YouTube just must be on one now. There's this new algorithm thing, and a lot of people are upset at YouTube because of it.
When are we not upset about the algorithm?
When it's bringing viewers.
Well, true.
Which, hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's everybody doing? I noticed the viewership went up a little bit. Hi, guys. I couldn't imagine being, like, caught doing some suspect shit. I'm on trial. The judge says, no TV cameras. And I'm like, hell yeah, cool. Nobody has to see me go through this shit. They're like, bring in the sketch artist. And it's like somebody that really didn't like me from my past. It's like an ex-girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, man, for real? Like, they're like, yeah, man. Yeah. Cut to me looking paunchy as hell. Just like fat rolls out of my suit, hunched over. Like it looks like 19...
Looking like from fucking Little Nightmares.
Oh, I'm looking like some 1930s Nazi propaganda. Like I'm like eh. Like I'm looking extra Jewish for no reason. I'm glad I've never had any beefs with visual artists that have done me dirty like that. Like, I've seen memes where people shot myself into shit, but never someone taking the time to, like, sketch me hatefully.
Yeah.
That's, like... That's worse.
That's their vision. That came from their brain.
That's honestly worse than if Ice Cube was to come out with a diss track about you. Like, the fact that someone sat down and was like, you know what? This took me an hour to do. I shaded it perfectly. I'm a master artist. I fucking hate you. It's like, oh no, you hate me.
Well, because that whole image came out of their brain.
Yeah.
They didn't piece pictures together.
Yeah.
They created it.
Yeah, very true.
That's what's so, like, that feels weird. Yeah, that would be really weird if somebody drew me hatefully.
Oh, man.
Like, I'm sorry you felt that bad.
I'm sorry you hated me that much.
Yeah.
It's a lot of commitment to hating me. I'm sorry. But, you know, it's the way it goes. I do pre-recorded ads now.
Mm-hmm.
I did them at the top of the show. So I don't have to ad break anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's times where naturally I hit a pause and I'm like, ad break! Oh, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing that. It's not happening. It's not going down. Let's see if we can get a quote from Rick Perry or anything real quick while I grab this.
Recognized. Madam Speaker, I yield 3.5 minutes to the gentleman from Maryland, Mr. Raskin.
The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for 3.5 minutes.
I thank the gentlelady. Madam Speaker, like 300 other witnesses called to meet with the January 6th committee, and our staff, Mark Meadows, was indeed cooperating with our committee and voluntarily released thousands of pages of admittedly unprivileged documents. And then something changed. His book came out, and apparently it embarrassed Donald Trump. And after ex-President Trump exploded and called the book fake news, Meadows performed a U-turn and suddenly refused to appear at the December 8th deposition that he had previously agreed to. He called his own book fake news, which is a pretty devastating review to render on your own book. And he brought a lawsuit against the committee alleging, check this out, that we have no legislative purpose. Meadows' sudden vanishing act cannot vaporize the Article 1 legislative power of our committee to investigate the massive assault on American democracy that took place on January the 6th. If the January 6th committee has no legislative purpose, then none of our committees do. For the first rule of democratic government is self-preservation. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 gives us the power to suppress insurrections and repel invasions against the Union. And this we will do by investigating and reporting on the most dangerous political violence ever unleashed against the Capitol by a domestic enemy.
Hard.
We have hundreds of questions.
I don't think it was necessarily
Yes,
that
we do.
bad.
The fact that Donald Trump, who gave Mr. Meadows
But
a
it never
positive
happened
blurb for his
before.
book, apparently
That's
changed
true.
his mind about
That's
the book,
why it's the most
doesn't mean
violent.
that
It's
Mr.
never
Meadows can
happened
now violate
before.
That makes
the
sense.
congressional
It set a
subpoena.
precedent. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Something
So
that
they're
Meadows
trying to take
frequently
it
insisted
seriously
upon himself
because it's never
as
happened
a leading member
before.
of the
Prepare
House
for it to
Oversight
potentially happen
Committee.
in a worse
And he
way.
knows it,
Yes.
and we have
Yeah.
pages and pages of his insisting upon the central importance of honoring the subpoenas of Congress. We have hundreds of questions. from
It's
Mr.
not in my
Meadows
life
about
I've ever heard of
information
people
he has
fucking
already admitted is
barreling
not
through the
privileged in any way
Capitol.
at all
Yeah.
by the
Like
executive
that.
privilege,
Yeah.
the Fifth Amendment, or anything else. Here's one of them. How did the following text from a House lawmaker influence Trump's plans to overthrow
This
Joe
text.
Biden's
They ordered that.
electoral
They
college
custom
majority
ordered that
of
This
to
is,
be
yeah.
printed.
Hold up. Yeah, they had that made November 4th, 2020. Here's an aggressive strategy. Why can't the states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and other Republican-controlled state houses declare this is BS, where conflicts in election not called that night? Whoa. And just send their own electors to vote and have it go to the SCOTUS. Whoa. Bullshit, dude. Yeah, no, they was scheming. They got caught scheming behind the scenes.
But I also just love that he had this guy wait with that until he said specifically that. So
Oh,
he could
yeah.
pull up this big ass PowerPoint they printed.
Look, Jimmy, you have a very important job today. You got to lift the board for the presentation. Now, look, you got to do it right when I say, what does he say? He says some shit like, this text.
This text.
When I say this text and I give the thumb back, you got to come up with the sign, Jimmy. If you don't, like, Jimmy, I swear,
I won't be credible in here anymore.
I swear if you fuck this up for me, Jim, James, you will never work in Washington ever again if you don't get this fucking sign up on cue. And I'm gonna say, if the coffee this morning is an omen, again, so help me God, Jimmy. So help me God. So help me God. I will. I can't. I can't. I won't. I can't with you. Just you gotta lift the board. It cost me $69 COVID dollars to get this made at fucking Kinko's. You know how busy the Washington DC Kinko's is? Do you know how many children? Sorry, I almost made a very obscure joke. I don't know. I think only older cats would get. I said, do you know how many children per row left living? Do you know how many paper copies of pie charts they need? The Perot family, they keep the Washington DC Kinko's busy. They keep them alive.
November 4th, a member of this
Which I won't lie, dude has the hairline of somebody who still hits up Blockbuster.
body wrote to Meadows,
He still
"Here's an
rents physical
aggressive
copies
strategy.
of movies.
One day after the election, why can't the
I like
states of
Redbox.
Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and other Republican-controlled
buy
state
it.
houses declare this is BS, where conflicts in election not called that night, and just send their own electors to vote and have it go to the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States? How did this text influence the planning of Mark Meadows and Donald Trump to try to
Snap
destroy
special. Yeah, the
the
most
lawful
destructive was
electoral
1983,
college
all
majority
female.
that had
That's
been
wild.
established by the people of the United States and the states for Joe Biden?
That's a wild bit of history right there, special here. This is from the chat. The most destructive kind of insurrection attempt was November 1983, a bombing by the May 19th M19 Communist Organization, the only ever all-female terrorist group. The women issued a warning minutes before the device detonated in the Capitol's North Wing. No one was hurt in any of these incidents. You know, what's fascinating to me is typically when you would see what would be... You saw things in history build up to an all-female terror group, like the group that the woman who shot Andy Warhol was leading. But again, that was targeting artists, male artists. That wasn't a political terror group necessarily. While their end goal was somewhat the same, they were going to do it through culture and media. That group, the M19, they were straight up. They tried to, they bombed the Capitol. Now, again, in my opinion, probably the most violent was, it's not an insurrection, actually. I think the most violent thing to happen on that fucking premises was the inauguration of Andrew Jackson. That inauguration party was buck wild. We're talking people were actually injured. I think some people died. They started eating the goats that mowed the lawn. Yeah, I've talked about the inauguration party for Andrew Jackson on this stream before, probably ad nauseum at this point, and that was, in my opinion, the most buck wild of things to go down there. He had to petition the fucking Senate for some money to fucking get new carpet and stuff because they had ground cheese and goat shit.
Oh,
and
shit.
They had ruined the White House.
Wow.
He wrecked the White House with his inauguration party, and then they're like, well, that's on your dime to fix it. And he was like, what? Hell no. These tax dollars. And they're like, no, you will not.
Wow.
It was a whole thing. Yeah. Andrew Jackson trashed he had a very crazy, racist ass inauguration. It got buck wild. And again, they run out of, let's say they ran out of mutton. Well, let's go eat one of the sheep that's fucking grazing in the White House lawn at the time. It got that crazy. We're butchering and roasting live animals. So again, the inside of the White House during the first couple of years of Andrew Jackson's presidency smelled like old gross frat house. And that little detail just makes my life. Special guest says hashtag y'all just mad because Andy knew how to party. It's true. Andrew Jackson knew how to fucking throw a party. And I'm talking like a fucking a potential insurrection level party. Literally the portraits of his inauguration party look like the Jan 6th insurrection. They look the same. It makes me endlessly happy that having that bit of knowledge and history. As I've said on the stream in the past, I sometimes have unusual synesthetic responses, and they're normally smell oriented. And boy, knowing just an approximation of what the White House smelled like after that party is bad meat or good cheese. You know what I mean? That's what that smelled like for a minute. Did you imagine being any politician in the White House at the time? What's it? Y'all smell that? What the fuck is that? Is that bad meat or good cheese? Turns out it's none of the above. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad all around. It's just a rotten party remnants. It's old pizza crust and ale. The smell of damp ale. I'm sure there's been really eloquent writers from the time too that have described the smell. I'll find something. I'll try to do a rant or a deep dive on specifically Andrew Jackson's inauguration. Again, one of my favorite history or moments in American history. Let's see. GOP senator accuses Democrats of attempting to disguise the true cost of the Build Back Better.
The Republican whip.
Mr. President,
41 minutes ago.
That I be able to complete my remarks prior to the vote.
Without objection.
Mr. President, the latest inflation numbers came out Friday, and the news was not good. Inflation is currently at the highest level in nearly 40 years. 40 years. The last time inflation was this bad, E.T., and Rocky III were in theaters, and the Green Bay Packers were being coached by Bart Starr. Mr. President, high inflation is taking a major toll on American families. Gas prices that are 7-year high. The price of used cars and trucks is up 31%. 31%, Mr. President. Propane, kerosene, and firewood are up 34%. Food prices have increased significantly. Ground beef is up 14%. Apples up 7.4%.
Sorry, he's out here talking like he's got 2 meow meow beans bringing up apples. What's up with twos liking apples anyway? Sorry. If you guys like the show Community, you should be laughing. You should be doubled over.
Baby food is up 6%.
Because I'm hilarious.
Bacon and related products are up 21%. And Mr. President, the list continues. Rent prices are up. Utility prices are up. Furniture prices are up. And on and on.
Everything's expensive as hell.
Despite wage growth this year, Americans have seen a de facto pay cut with real average hourly earnings.
Special guest says this dude seems like an evil sensei in a karate movie. Like a Karate Kid movie. He's Cobra Kai. This is Cobra Kai's like lost. He teaches him the death strike or some shit. He's like, now I'll teach you how to drop Danny dead, dude. Like, yeah, he's evil as hell. He's racist. Racist too. He's racist. In the movie, like, they fictionalized this guy. He's also racist. He's a racist. He's a bad guy.
Down.
He looks that way. He has the forehead wrinkles and amount of forehead of kind of a villain. I would know. And, you know.
This year. Mr. President, inflation is what happens when you have too many dollars chasing too few.
Special guest says, I learned this in Grenada.
Goods and services.
19 hours of hell. Watcha! Sorry.
A lot of unnecessary government money into the economy earlier this year, despite, I might add, being warned that their partisan $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan spending spree could stoke inflation. And you don't have to take my word for it. Here's what former Obama economic advisor Jason Furman had to say.
What about the goblin that talks to you when you're looking in a mirror, Willem Dafoe? What does that have to say about all this? What does the Green Goblin have to say about all this? Sorry.
Recently, when discussing our
I guess we're roasting
problem,
this dude. Special guest blew the whistle.
American Rescue Plan. It contributed to both higher output, but also higher prices, end quote. That quote from Mr. Furman appeared in a New York Times article that also noted, and I quote, but some economists, including veterans of previous Democratic administrations, say much of Mr. Biden's inflation struggle is self-inflicted. Lawrence H. Summers is one of those who say the stimulus bill
on YouTube
signed in March gave too much of a boost to consumer spending. Mr. Summers, who served in the Obama and Clinton administration, says inflation now risks spiraling out of control, and other Democratic economists agree there are risks, end quote. Again, that, Mr. President, from the New York Times. Mr. President, inflation is spiraling out of control. And Democrats are preparing to throw more fuel on the fire. That's right. Democrats are preparing to double down on the strategy that helped get us in this mess in the first place and pass yet another massive government spending bill. I'm not sure whether Democrats simply don't care about the inflation situation facing American families or whether they're operating under the delusion that they can somehow pass another major government spending bill without serious consequences for the economy. Regardless, there's no question that pouring another $1.75 trillion in government money into the economy would likely make our inflation crisis even worse than it is today. Now, Mr. President, I say $1.75 trillion because that's what Democrats have been selling is the price tag for their so-called Build Back Better plan. But as we learned on Friday of last week from the Congressional Budget Office's latest analysis, Democrats' spending spree would far exceed $1.75 trillion. When you take away the shell games and budget gimmicks, Democrats' spending spree would cost almost $5 trillion.
Weep.
$5 trillion.
$5 trillion.
Of course, the Democrats' plan is larger than
you get $1, and you get $1, and you get $1 for every human.
Democrats' Build Back Better proposal, if implemented over 10 years,
You get
this
a
plan
dollar.
would add an
We're giving Chinese people
eye-popping
dollars.
$3 trillion to our national debt. It turns out that Build Back Better is more like Build Back Bankrupt. Mr. President, Democrats have attempted to disguise the true cost of their Build Back Bankrupt plan by strategically sunsetting various provisions before the end of the bill's 10-year budget window. Of course, Democrats have never had any intention of adding
Yeah, another stimulus would be great.
these provisions.
If we're gonna rack up like a
But by
$5 trillion
claiming
plan, why
that
can't
they
we
are
cut a
going to
check to
sunset these
everybody?
measures, they have been able to sort of
I ain't talking about the child
disguise
tax
the
credit.
fact their spending
Talking about a
spree
real
would
check.
actually cost
Talking about the bag.
nearly $5
For everybody.
trillion.
All Americans.
That's the congressional
You
budget.
Merkin? 2K bones.
Congressional Budget Office last Friday.
2,000 squirrel
said
bones.
If extended, a 10-year window,
It's the most,
this
you
bill
know.
would cost $5 trillion.
I'd say hamster bones. What is Theo Von said? The
Democrats
ivory
are
of Arkansas.
implicitly admitting that they plan to extend these programs, but they are saying that people shouldn't worry that the cost of these extensions will be offset. Well, I'd like to know just how exactly they plan to do that. With massive new tax hikes on top of the tax hikes they've already included in their bill.
With some crazy goblin character throwing grenades from a glider.
Just how many
A man dressed as a spider on the loose, being just a vigilante, a rogue cowboy out there, not funded by tax dollars. Or maybe he is. We don't know.
tax hikes the Democrats...
Jay Jonah was right.
And Democrats have
Follow the
refused
paper
offsets. Why
trail.
didn't they include those offsets in their bill in the first place?
Spider-Man gets checks from Stark. Stark got checks from the government via the Sokovia Accords. Spider-Man is an agent of the government. Hashtag JJ Jonah Jameson was right.
Accounting of the length of their programs.
None of that even mentioned in this government proposal.
That the American people would balk if they knew the true cost of the bill. That they might not be crazy about the idea of a bill that would cost them $5 trillion. Mr. President, I'm hard-pressed to think of anything more irresponsible than for Democrats to pass their Build Back Better or their Build Back Bankrupt measure right now. Inflation is soaring, as I've just pointed out.
Not a bad
There's no
idea,
clear end in
special.
sight. Even the Federal Reserve
What do we
has now
back the
acknowledged that
currency
this is
with, though?
transitory. They removed that word from their description. We're emerging from a pandemic that required a lot of government expenditure and a corresponding increase in our debt. And we have no idea what government money might be needed down the road. Passing a $5 trillion spending spree that would add $3 trillion to our national debt is the very last thing that we should be doing. I hope that at least some of my Democrat colleagues will think better of their spending plans before the American people are forced to discover just what building back bankrupt is really like.
He looks to me kind of like a vice principal that would catch me smoking a doobie back when I was a kid, but not bust me because I'm a white kid. Just saying. This is what he looks like. Yeah. What do you think about Build Back Better so far? You want that stimulus check like I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see why it's not possible. I don't know. You know, if it's,
it'd be helpful.
If it's not possible, why aren't they using it like PR style to explain that maybe it fucked the potential of future ones to try to make something like a UBI seem not possible in our land of make-believe currency? Because again, like our currency, the reason money is because our money czar, the magical unknown person behind the Federal Reserve, waves his magical wand over it and says, "This is money now," and gives it to us. So, like, why can't we have a UBI for, you know, particularly during a pandemic? I don't understand why that's not possible. But again, this is socialist rhetoric, and a lot of people don't want to hear it, and I'm not a socialist myself. But I have been persuaded to the side of believing in a UBI. and believing in the possibility of one with the infrastructure we have and using it to actually build incentive within our market. If people have some money to fucking spend, we can then go spend it in America. Now, I understand a good amount of people are going to be somehow turning it into some kind of coin or NFT and giving that shit to China in some way. You know,
Right.
like my mother's a good example of someone. You could give her $4,000, she will find a way to give the majority of it to China in some way. Like she'll just like to spend most of that money on things in China, like directly from like she'll hit up like, you know, Wish or like Alibaba or, you know, one of those like, you know, have a whole grip of Sheen clothes show up. Yeah.
Sheen.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
Chinese, yeah. So be careful out there, guys. You know, don't do that. What up, William? Might be a little too young for this program, William. But what's up, bud? Is they reboot our economy with a new federal cash. Oh, I'd like that. I think it'd be funny if there was like a cryptocurrency attached to an American Citizen, the app. Like if American citizens, if American citizenship was reduced and simplified down to having an app, you can vote on it, you can file your taxes on it, you get a horrible new, gross, disgusting form of social credit, which you can use as like, I don't know, tax write-offable fucking cryptocurrency or something. You know, like there's a lot of interesting things you could potentially do with modernizing the market and the situation that we currently have. But boy, does it sound gross when you talk it out. You say American Citizen, the app. Hopefully everybody out there is cringing. Like if people thought it was a good idea, it's just because I said it, baby. Please imagine someone grosser saying it. And if you don't think I'm gross, I don't know who you're seeing. But you should, yeah, it's a bad idea. But a possible one is my point. Like, and something that maybe they should consider to westernize and modernize this ish. Special guest as American Citizen, the app, brought to you by the Yale part of the CIA. Yeah, brought to you by specifically what I kind of, you know, again, special guest isn't like defining things this way, but what I call like the blue team. You know, the big evil blue team. You have big conspiracy evil blue team. You have big conspiracy evil red team. You have a third party that's pulling both of those factions, which we will just call big. We'll just call them Hydra. We'll just call them Hydra. You got Hydra, real life Hydra, and then you have, you know, the chaotic nature of humanity as another faction in there, right? If you're just doing the math. You're the conspiracy math. If you're at the Pepe Silva wall, if you're at the who the fuck is Pepe Silva, this is how you would break down these factions, I think. Yes, and rightfully so. Like, American politics has become a shit show. It's so weird to cover too. For me personally, it's weird to cover. Just imagine that octopus skull and Dookie Brown. Yeah, exactly. That's the Brown team, as in brown shirts. But yeah, Hydra is for real. It. Yeah, no, exactly. Special. It's like they're Hydra. Like there is an actual, in our opinion, if you want to break down on how that particular the Hydra faction of the things is controlling the United States, its citizens, and the means in which it's researched ways on paper with links. In proof, check out the tattered map. Again, we got links. We're giving you sauce on it. We're giving you sources. You want to see the government document that is relevant to what Special is talking about in a way that Hydra is controlling you through intelligence agencies, whether it looks like it's blue or red? There's the same kind of repugnant ideology going on. He's got a paper trail on it.
Shit.
Facts. Sorry, sometimes we get conspiracy people rolling in here like, the COVID vaccine's a tracker. Like you said from your phone, that's tracking you.
Yeah.
I keep Find My Friends turned off. That doesn't mean you're not...
That's kind of the one line from Cowboy Bebop that I remember is Jet telling Faye that she disabled one tracker on Spike's ship, not all of them. You disabled one tracker on your phone.
He's
not all
very particular about his ship.
Those apps, yeah. Every single one that you use, yeah. Location services.
I would be too. The Swordfish is dope. Even the live action Swordfish was dope. Mm-hmm. That's like one of the pros. Yeah. The ship's right.
Ship's right.
Yeah. Check out our Cowboy Bebop live action review, viewers out there.
Yep, it's up.
Yep, we have a new playlist where we release edited content where we review
things
and such.
We review whatever we're interested in.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Juicy stuff. Spicy stuff. Mm-hmm. Stuff that lit a flame in our heart song. Mm-hmm. You know, caused a crescendo, if you will, of emotional reaction. Sorry, can you tell I'm really digging the being back in the morning thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I get squirrely in the morning. Mm. Had some real low energy streams the last few streams. Which, even though I keep it chill, it's below low energy for my normal chill demeanor. And it's like, man. So no energy? It's like, well, actually negative energy streams. They're vampiric.
Yeah.
So I got glad. I think I'm liking this starting at 7 again, guys. But we have hit 11 a.m. our time. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to bring this sucker down. We're going to wrap it up for the surprise Saturday stream. We're going to start probably Monday through Friday next week. You know, mm-hmm. Doing the thing. Mm-hmm. Doing the thing, you know. Mm-hmm. But stay tuned to the channel for some edited content on the weekends. That's probably going to start going down. You know. You got to hop in that Discord, though. Because there's no schedule, baby. This shit just happens, and it's limited edition sometimes. You got to catch it when it's here or it's gone. And, you know, and you never know. You might be a part of something. You come back and you're like, remember that thing? And we're all like, that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Know what you're talking about. You're riding in the night, dude. Don't worry about it. That was exclusive. That's exclusive shit. Hey, thank you so much, Graf. I love it. Great guest as usual, man. Got you here in the Discord. I see you, Bubba. And I love you to death, man. I love all you Murkies to death, you ride or die fools. You seem to be here. We got our core Murkies that are here no matter what time I stream. And you guys mean the world to me. Particularly while I was sick, you guys were here with me through a lot of that. And, you know, I keep a lot of that inside and keep the show going a lot of the time anyway. And this last week, I just really couldn't. And you guys are endlessly patient. And today was really invigorating. It was invigorating.
Good.
It was great. All right. In credits. Fiend. Done. End. End of movie. We'll see you guys around the corner. Like, share, and subscribe. Do it for me.